Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Lexi Outs here. It's Thursday, and we're doing the Thursday Think Tank, and it's draft season. So we center Thursday Tank around certain prospective possibilities for the Toronto Raptors to draft at number 9. And those both ESPN and Bleacher Report have this individual today that I'm talking about today as the pick for the Raptors at number 9. That in itself makes it suspicious to me. And in some ways, the rebel in me says, screw you guys. We're not picking him just because ESPN said that. They wanted us to pick Jalen Suggs. In fact, people to this day still say the Raptors went against the consensus number 4 pick, Jalen Suggs, and picked Scotty Barnes. And they admit that was exactly the genius right move in that moment. But it's like gaslighting because they say, oh, we wanted you to take Suggs. We wanted you to, but you defied us and you went and got Scotty and you were smart and got the rookie of the year. That's why whenever the player that the ESPN predicts, I don't want them to draft because there's usually some sort of hidden reason why they're putting them on us. You know, they know there's duds in the draft. They know that there's going to be busts. They know that there's going to be players that aren't going to live up to their potential. And they, in some ways, want to try to direct them to teams that they want them to go to early. And you know what? The guy I'm talking about today, Noa Essengue, he has a high bust factor where he could really bust and not make this league correctly. And I'm gonna go over why. I was putting him on my list, and I was thinking about, like, you know what, he would not be a bad kid to have on the team. And there are positives for him. Trust me, there are positives for him. He has very long arms. He has very interesting skill set, but there's some real bad negatives too. And that's what I'm going to go over today, along with the positives that he has also. Noa Essengue is 18 years old. He's from France, Orleans, and he moves really well. He's a very aggressive player in some ways on offense, but he shies away from contact. He does not do well with certain kind of level of size, and he's not a true center, and he never will be. And the other thing about him is that he's a project. He's absolutely a project. And we would, I don't even know. He could come in and be like something like, I don't know, a little bit like Bilal, a little bit, Bilal Koulibaly. But it's more likely that he would give to whatever team drafts him whatever he's going to do, like in 3 years. Like, seriously, he's a project. He's a project. He's only 18. He's skinny, rail thin. And honestly, he has not enough size to play in the NBA correctly. And I think that he has high bust factor. Like, he could really seriously, like, if I'm thinking about analyzing, like, that's one of the things I do when I look at the draft guys is how is likely is this guy going to be a bust and not actually come through in a sizable like way to make the NBA and be a long-term NBA player. And to me, Essenge's got about a 50-50 shot. The problem is that Noah is all the competition he's played so far at 18 has been not very good. And all the clips that you see of him online are against subpar competition, against guys that are slower, weaker, and just not as skilled as the competition he would find in the NBA. So when you watch him, you can't really gauge him completely by his clips because, it's like, I'm going out in the yard, in the driveway and play against my nephew and his friend that are 10 years old. I can dominate them because the competition isn't that tough, right? But, that's what I'm saying. In some ways, the minutes that you see in the time on his clips of his highlights from France and Germany are against subpar competition, and you cannot gauge him. It's like he has a talent above these people because he's got longer arms, he's quicker, and he can look real good against them in those highlights. But there's a lot of sloppiness to his play. Like, if I was comparing him to Newell, he does not have the footwork that Newell has. He does not have some of the presence of mind in certain ways that Asa Newell has. And if we're really comparing the two of them, Noah is way, way, way unfinished compared to Asa Newell. So it's like, I'm going to say I'm actually going to take him off my 10 to draft list at this point because I watched Noah some more yesterday, and I think he's too much of a risk to be a bust. And I think that's partly why ESPN and Bleacher Report are putting him at 9, drafted by the Raptors right now. I think that's part of the reason why. Y'all, the phone is open. If you want to call me today, the phone line is open. You have access to the phone line on the Discord server, in the channel members community on this YouTube channel, on the Facebook chat. You can find the number there. You can call me at any time. I'll answer the phone. I'll put you on the air and we can hear your opinions on a wide variety of subjects. We are talking Noah today, but we can talk about anything you guys want to. But at this point, I'm kind of off the Noah train. I know that some of y'all were really into it. And, I may be totally wrong. This kid could be a superstar, phenomenal player in the league. Not a superstar maybe, but he'll be a very good player. But I think the risk is 250-50. I think it's 250-50. So, all right, let's see what we got going on. We got our first call of the day. Hello, caller. You're on the air with the Raptor Think Tank.
Peace and blessings. Infamous in the building.
Infamous, back on the phone with us today. Good afternoon. Good morning, Infamous. How are you today?
Good morning to you. Peace and blessings to the Raptors family.
Awesome, man.
Well, hope the Raptors family's doing well as well.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you, sir.
Okay, so you're hearing what I'm saying about Noah right now, and you kind of see what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, I actually when you dropped the thumbnail, I actually went to check him out. And
yeah.
I see a lot of the things that you see. I mean, the competition, the footwork, everything. Nothing really impressed me. I got to be honest.
Yeah, he has a frame that's doable. If he can get some muscle on it and get a little more durable, he could be a very interesting player because he is built like a Kevin Durant kind of long arm forward. But he will. I don't think he'll ever be a true center, which is something we kind of want. And the other thing about him is they're saying he could play small ball center possibly at some point, but I don't see it at any time soon because he's got a body like a small forward to me, honestly, right now. So
we might as well keep Chris Bosh. Not Chris Bosh. I mean
Chris Boucher.
Chris Boucher.
Yeah.
Chris Boucher. We might as well keep Chris Boucher. It's pretty much what I was seeing. Similar.
Yeah. I think you're exactly right. They have a similar frame. And, we know what we got with Chris already, and we know what Chris does as far as like he's added strength to his frame. So he's a lot more wiry strong than he seems at this point. And the experience and the knowledge already accrued by Chris Boucher, I'm just saying, I think in some ways Noah is on a timeline that's after us where we are right now also. So,
right.
Yeah.
All right. So let me quickly go through. I got just a few talking points, and we'll burn right through them real quick.
Okay, no problem, man.
Scotty Barnes. We got to stop this. Scotty Barnes is not being traded.
Yeah.
The Raptors would not mortgage their future, like pretty much give away all their players, build a whole franchise around him to automatically get up and trade him. It would make Masai look like an idiot. But I don't think it's happening. I honestly don't.
I agree with you. I hope that you're exactly right. I mean, crazy things have been happening in the NBA recently with the Luka trade. And, that summer of 2018, that was a pretty crazy move that Masai made then. But I hope you're right. This morning, Raptors fans are freaking out because Alex Antetokounmpo has been cited in Vaughn working out with former 905 people. Now, we got to remember, Alex played for the 905. And just because Giannis's brother's in the Toronto area right now, everybody's taking that as a sign. Oh my gosh, he's coming for sure.
Can we be honest for a quick minute? Is Giannis even really a better player than Scotty? I mean, Scotty can play 1-2-5. Can we say the same thing about Giannis? Giannis can't do that. And that's nothing against Giannis. I love Giannis. I think he's a great player. I think he's going to be a top 10 once his career is over. But Scotty can play 1-5. Yeah. Legitimately.
Yeah. The one is somewhere that Giannis is a little bit.
Yeah. And he's a better free throw shooter. We all know that.
Yeah.
So when the game is tight, we know that Scotty will hit them free throws, right?
Yeah.
His three-point shooting is coming along. His mid-range is there. His footwork is there. I mean, I've got to be honest. I'm taking Scotty right now. I think Scotty has a better upside. Nothing against Giannis. And we forget, Scotty's still young.
Yeah.
Scotty's still developing. Yeah. He's still growing. So I would not do that trade.
I wouldn't either.
If Scotty's involved, I'll do it. You can do it without Scotty. And I don't think the Raptors would ever involve Scotty in any kind of trade like this, in my honest opinion.
I believe that you're right too. And Masai has very much been very steadfast in past talks. Like when the Kevin Durant thing was happening 2 years ago, he was very steadfast. Scotty's off the table. Like if you're coming at us, Brooklyn, with packages for us to trade for Kevin Durant, you don't even need to start with Wayne Barnes because he is not available. It's a non-starter.
He's not available.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Let me quickly move on to Kyrie. I know you mentioned Kyrie yesterday.
Yes, the rumor I heard.
I love Kyrie. I love Kyrie.
Yeah.
I mean, in my honest opinion, I don't see it happening, but Kyrie is one of my all-time favorite players, and it's not even because of what he does on the court. It's mostly for what he does off the court.
Sure.
And let me explain. During that whole incident that happened with the whole C-19, the COVID incident, people forget. It's funny how a lot of people sometimes have a short memory. Kyrie was one of the players. It didn't come out. He didn't make it known. But when nurses were being fired and were losing their jobs and stuff, Kyrie donated his own salary to help them.
Wow.
He donated his salary to help those people, the nurses that didn't have jobs, that were taken out of their jobs. Right?
Oh, the ones that wouldn't take the vaccine. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Whether you agree or disagree, that's a whole other issue.
Yeah.
Right. So, and the other thing that we forget, George Floyd, he paid for George Floyd's families. Like he paid for the funeral.
Yeah.
He helped donate money to the funeral, and he also helped them get a house.
Yeah.
These are things that are not talked about because he doesn't make these things known. He's very charitable. He's very, with his money, right? He's very giving with his money. So what happened when that whole incident came out with the whole movie thing, right? If I can go on a little bit of rant for 1 minute.
Sure,
go ahead.
The whole
thing came about a movie rant about him being hateful and anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
First of all, I've seen the movie.
Yeah.
Right? The movie is not anti-Semitic at all, in my honest opinion. The only thing that it says is that the original Jews were black. Now, if that's anti-Semitic, I'm anti-Semitic then. I'm just being honest. I'm anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
So you can get at me. You can get at me for that.
Yeah.
But here's the thing that people fail to mention. We went at Kyrie for that movie, right?
Yeah.
But how come nobody went at Amazon? Amazon was the people that were selling it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you go at Kyrie, but you don't go at the person that's distributing it?
Yeah. I mean, it's convenient, and it's, in some ways it's like, listen, we know that they're going to target different people for different reasons and not target certain people for certain reasons. And I agree with you. I mean, if everybody wanted to come down on him so hard, why not the seller, the provider of where it is? Honestly.
Right.
And I would say this, I mean, the whole fact that people are so quick to label so much stuff anti-Semitic at this point, that's actually not anti-Semitic. It's almost kind of like a false flag, like a dog whistle, where they say, oh, you're anti-Semitic because you don't support the genocide or something like that. I'm pro-human and I don't support murdering innocent people. But if I am against Israel in this conflict, I get labeled as anti-Semitic. It's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit.
Now, this is going to be a little bit controversial, but not too controversial. I'm going to get a little controversial. Now, Candace Owens, person that I don't really agree with. Right? I don't really like her politics. She interviewed a rabbi, right?
Okay.
And she went right at him and asked him about being anti-Semitic. And you know what the rabbi responded with? He said basically, and you can go back and check the interview. The interview's on YouTube. He said, being anti-Semitic is whatever we say it is. So honestly, no, Lex, there's really no clear definition of what anti-Semitic is.
In some ways, it's just a weaponized word, in some ways to like kind of politically use to, in some ways justify poor behavior. And, there are real anti-Semitic, horrific, violent things happen.
Absolutely.
Like something like the thing that happened in Boulder last week. But that's the problem, is like they cloud it all and they lump it all into like together. And in some ways that kind of doesn't help their cause, because, anybody who's not standing with them on the genocide is, anti-Semitic. That's messed up. That ain't right there. I don't want to go too far into this. So.
Yeah. And I'll just leave it with this.
Yeah.
You don't go with Elon Musk for basically throwing up
Nazis,
right
Heil
Hitler. Come out and say
yeah.
anything about him.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go back to basketball.
Yeah. I don't want to go too far down this.
No, I know you. I know. I like to stay with political stuff when it comes
but so let me just ask you a question for a second. Infamous. So you said you like the rumor I heard from Dallas about Kyrie possibly coming to Toronto.
If I like it?
Yeah, you like the idea of Kyrie being on Toronto?
I would love to have Kyrie on this team, but Lex, we got to be honest too. I mean, the Raptors kind of like to stay away from controversial players. So that's another. He's very controversial, and I don't think they want that heat, because I think some of the heat that he received from his past will come back to haunt him here as well.
I don't know. I don't know. I could see what you're saying, but what if? What if? I mean, the source I'm hearing from is a beat reporter in Dallas, and he's a fairly reliable source. He may be a little bit more like the Toronto Sun guys here, but he, it's basically like the guys at odds, and you could tell that would be true with the owner and the owner's causes that she supports and the causes that he supports. That there would be kind of very kind of conflict of interest kind of thing going on here. So
yeah, I would love to have Kyrie here, but I think he's too much of a polarizing player.
We'll have to see if he picks up his player option. Obviously, that'll kill the rumor right there. But if he doesn't and he opts out of it, well, I think we're in the game for it, is what I'm hearing.
I would love. Listen, I would love. He's a great human being. His stuff that he does off the court more than his stuff that he does on the court. I think he's a great player. I think he's a great mentor as well. I think he would be a great mentor. I support it 100%. But
awesome.
I think a lot of the stuff that he's done in the past may have the Raptors kind of tend to shy away from those kind of.
I don't know though. We were very prominent in the Black Lives Matter and the decision making around that time. The Raptors were kind of one of the leading franchises of being social justice warriors in different respects. Like, we are not afraid to come out on gun control issues here in Canada. We're not afraid to very much, go talk about Indigenous issues. So I may tend to disagree with you on this, that the Raptors do actually go into controversial subjects, and that Kyrie actually would fit because of that a little bit. But you're right. There is an establishment. There's an establishment here in Toronto that probably wouldn't be happy that Kyrie's here. This is probably true.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Let me go to my free agent list. There's a couple guys that people are not talking about.
Okay.
Can I throw some names at you?
Sure, but I want to keep moving on the stream, so we'll do this, and then we got to go on to the next part. So
okay. Quick. Here's Porzingis.
Yeah, not in Toronto. No, not for me.
You don't think so?
No, I think that he's I think that he's a loser. I think that every place he's gone, he's kind of brought unnecessary losses. Win shares. Well, I feel like there's losing shares that have to do with Porzingis, and that's why I don't want anything to do it. And it's no coincidence that the Celtics did better in their playoff run last year when he was absent. So he's a no-go with me, man, especially because I don't feel like he's a very friendly guy with his teammates, and he's not very good for chemistry in some ways because he's very off on his own. And I've never gotten the feeling that Kristaps Porzingis actually bonds with his teammates. I feel like he would have had the best chance with Luka, both being European and kind of from the same area, but I feel like him and Luka didn't even bond when they got to play together in Dallas. So he's he's like a red stop. Nope, not coming across the border here, Latvian. I'm sorry, my guy. I'm sorry. Who's your other names?
Here's one guy. No, here's another guy I think that we should definitely kick the tires on.
Okay.
Naz Reid.
Yeah. And the rumors are out there on him. He would be very useful to the Raptors in his player build and his type. And I wouldn't be against this, but if he's going to be more money than Chris, and we don't really have the salary cap, I would still rather bring back Chris on a cheaper contract than pay more to get Naz Reid, because in some ways it'd be negligible, kind of the difference to me personally. Because I know if Naz Reid's coming, that's going to be a more expensive player in some ways. But I like him. If he was on the Raptors because Masai decided, I would be very happy about that. So, yeah.
Yeah, here's why I'm very high on Naz Reid. He's currently on a $50 million contract, which is a player option. I think he's going to opt out, obviously, right?
Okay.
He's 25 years old. He shores up two positions that we have. He can play the backup center role, right?
Yeah.
He can also move to the power forward role. So he covers those two positions. And he immediately alleviates a lot of the issues that we have, for example, with Yaka, where Yaka is an inside presence, but we know Yaka is not an outside presence. He's not going to stretch the floor. So immediately, if you want to go to small ball, you can have Naz Reid at the 5, or you can even put Scotty at the 5, put Naz at the 4, put Naz at the 5, and put Scotty at the 4. Like you can interchange those two, and that shows up a lot of issues.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of flexibility if you acquire Naz Reid. And he's been fantastic. I mean, the last couple of years, he's been one of the top vote getters for 6th Man of the Year kind of stuff. And, you know, I mean, that would be a dream for sure. That would be a dream pickup for the summer.
Oh, I want him so bad.
I really don't know how constrictive we are right now with what we're going to try and do as far as like fitting things with the cap and whether he would be realistic considering some of the things. But Infamous, I also want to point out.
My final question.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
This is the absolute final question.
Sure.
To you, and this is for you personally.
Okay.
If you could meet and have lunch with anyone, dead or alive, who would it be, sir?
Oh my gosh. Honestly, I think it would be Jimi Hendrix. Seriously, just off the top of my head, I think it would be really cool to meet Jimi Hendrix and just kind of like pick his, like, he's such a creative guy and he's so interesting. He's very humble and down to earth kind of guy. And he's got just such a flair, and the vision he sees the world through is so intriguing to me. You know, I know a lot about him in his early days. You know, he was in the military, and then he also was an artist, and he was just a kid in Seattle, and he's an interesting guy. So if I got the chance to sit down and have a meal with Jimi Hendrix, that would be amazing. That's who I'd pick.
Great.
I know maybe that sounds crazy, so, but yeah.
No, I like that. It's thank you for having me on.
Hey, Infamous, it's a pleasure, man. Once again, a great mega call. I mean, because honestly, we cover stuff. And speaking of Kyrie and his philanthropy, I'm really proud of Jaylen Brown going to a conference yesterday and speaking out about climate change and talking about a really big, huge issue. Jaylen Brown putting his notoriety and famousness on like putting out and speaking out about climate change issues. And that's really responsible. And I have more respect for that Celtic in particular, Jaylen Brown. So.
Jaylen Brown was the only guy that stood up for Kyrie.
Yeah.
If you get that too. Yeah.
All right, Infamous, man. I appreciate you. Yeah, we'll have to see if the rumor comes true. Can Kyrie Irving play for Toronto? We'll have to see. We'll have to find out now. That's right. Okay. All right, Infamous. Have a great weekend, man. And thanks for calling. Peace and love to you, sir, too. All right, man. Awesome. We got our first call of the day. And as I said, the phone lines are open. If you want to call in like Infamous did, you can get your chance to be heard on the phone if you have access to the phone number. So, yeah, let's start with the chat. Trevor J saying, always believe in God's plan. What hurts you today makes you stronger tomorrow. Never lose. You never know what tomorrow may bring. That's right. Don't give up is what he's saying. It's not saying never lose hope. And keep going because, you know, your stumbling blocks, your roadblocks, they may get out of the way at the last second and right before you would quit. So keep going is what we're saying here. And you never know what tomorrow will bring. Thank you, Trevor J, for your words of wisdom. I appreciate you, Commissioner Fun. He's also saying WNBA Commissioner's Cup games today, Liberty versus the Mystics and the Valkyries versus the Mercury. Cool. Yeah, keep up with your WNBA teams, fantasy league. And yeah, Fiercey, I'm playing you this week. I'm going to be very, very tough. And I got my lineup set up. I went and got a couple of Valkyries yesterday to be playing today. I got Kate Martin and one of their forwards, Cecilia or something. And, well, I hope that they do well today. Let's see what else you're saying. Jacoby Walters working out, looking good. Yeah, I'm very impressed with Jacoby because I look at this as like a year ago. Walter, a year ago, he looked like a little kid, man. I'm telling you right now, he has skinny little arms. He has floppy hair. And he looked like a little kid. Like his arms were not anywhere until he got to the Raptors. He had to get drafted. He had to start working on our strength and nutrition program. And his body is ballooning up real nice. It's not even a year since he came to the Raptors. And he looks like a totally different person right now. You can go look at his workout clips right now and know that Jacoby Walter highly values working hard and doing it the hard way and working harder than anybody else. And I'm going to say this right now. I have weird feelings about Jacoby that he is going to be really, really special, and that the Raptors may need to really put a pin in him and say, this guy needs to stay in the fold going forward, because he is going to be bigger and bigger and bigger as he gets. And there's something about him with clutch factor, something about him with the way he plays, that I'm telling you, Bobby Masai, you cannot think of him as expendable in any kind of way. This is a kid that I think y'all need to keep around as long as possible, because there's certain things about his personality, certain things about the things I'm seeing from him that tell me that this kid is going somewhere with what he's doing. He is on the line of having DeRozan code, and he has Mamba mentality because he's named after Kobe Bryant. He has to be a disciple of Mamba mentality. So it's like he can't have his namesake. He would feel like a fraud if he didn't do it the way Bryant would. So, man, I'm really excited about Kobe year 2. And that shaved, the cut hair is a part of the look, too, that's totally more serious and different. And I'm all about it. I'm all about it. Trevor J's bringing up the game 1 of the finals will be tonight. Indiana Pacers at Oklahoma City Thunder. And yeah, I've got the refs for you guys right now. Of course, 12 refs were selected to do the finals for the NBA this year. And well, our crew tonight is John Goebel, crew chief. He favors the Oklahoma City Thunder. Referee is Mark Davis. It's very even. It's just a 1 percentage point difference between the favors. So we'll say split for Mark Davis between the Pacers and the Thunder. And David Guthrie is the umpire. He favors the Pacers. So it's a very balanced ref crew as far as record-wise for the 2 teams. You got 1 ref for the Thunder, 1 ref for the Pacers, and 1 ref that's even. Mark Davis is even. Kevin Scott is the alternate, and Josh Tibbin will be the eye in the sky, Alan Parsons group, and Secaucus watching from far away. So yeah, game 1 tonight, I will be watching the game because I promised I would, and I'll be filming a reaction after the game with To The Point, King and Brian and his crew, and we will have the clip out tomorrow. It'll be reaction clips of the Raptor Freak working with To The Point on finals reactions shows. So be looking out for that tomorrow. I'll post it on my channel, and I know To The Point will have it on there also. So yeah, I'm excited. Trevor J's bringing up that there's a 14-year-old named Jeremy Go here. He's 7'6", and he plays basketball. 1 more Canadian. Yeah, we knew about Jeremy too. We knew about Oliver. Zach's already in the NBA. These monstrous Canadians are coming. In the tradition of Jim Zoet, we have more and more monstrous Canadians coming. I don't know what's in the water in Montreal or in Quebec, but there's some 7'8" people coming, which is crazy. And yeah, Jeremy is 14 and he's 7'6". So yeah, that's crazy. That just seems crazy to me. That Oliver Rayu coming sooner. That's right. Smooth is saying that Edmonton won their game last night. Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals went to overtime. Florida was winning for most of the game, and the Oilers came back. And yeah, I love this. I love this. I didn't stay up to watch the game, but I got up this morning. I saw the score, and I was like, yes, let's go Oilers. It's like 3 more to go. That's right. Let's go, Smooth Brown Man. That's right. Let's win this cup back to Canada. Come on, Edmonton. Last year, y'all lost the Panthers. This year, it's your turn to get the cup. So kick their ass and bring the cup home to Canada. We're all rooting for you, man. We're all rooting for you, McDavid. That's right. Trevor saying, I will be at game 2 on Sunday, Indiana versus Oklahoma City. See, there you go. Trevor J, high flying and jet flying, pro styling. He's on Space Mountain, getting on that plane, that Lear jet or whatever he's flying. He's going to be going to Oklahoma City, and he's going to watch the game 2 and in person. So, yeah, we need a correspondent on site. Trevor J, please come with your observations from the game on the stream on Monday. I'd love to hear what you saw when you go to Oklahoma City to see game 2 of the finals. That's right. Were the tickets expensive? I don't know. He says, I got my tickets as a gift. I did not ask how much. Okay. Trevor's saying, Smooth, Money in the Bank, Saturday, WWE today. Yeah, so, okay, there's a WWE pay-per-view today or Saturday. Interesting. Also on Saturday, I want to remind everybody, we're coming down to the NBA restaurant at Queens Quay in Toronto. It's Monique Superfan Lawrence's birthday. The party will start at 5:30. And yeah, we got a reservation down there. It's going to be fun. There's going to be all kinds of people down there to celebrate her birthday, her family, friends, Raptor Freak family, Giants of Africa, and people from the Toronto Raptors organization will be down at Monique's birthday party. So I highly recommend anybody can come. If you're hearing me right now, just come on down to the NBA restaurant and hang out with us and have some food and some drinks, and let's hobnob and talk and celebrate the great superfan Monique Lawrence. That's June the 7th, 5:30 p.m. NBA restaurant, Queens Quay, Toronto, downtown on the Queens Quay. That's right, down on the lake. That's right. Let's see what else you guys are saying in the chat. No. Smooth saying I might watch. I'm not sure. He's not sure about Money in the Bank. Smooth saying Pacers Thunders is a no-lose finals for me. That's right. For me also. I don't care. In some ways, may the best team win, because I know Canada's winning either way. Because as of when this finals is over, there will be 2 new Canadian NBA champions, no matter what. There are 10 NBA champions, as we learned from trivia on Tuesday. 10 men have won the NBA championship as Canadians. Only 10. Well, we're going to add 2 more to the list. There will be an even dozen after this finals is over. Will it be Gilgeous-Alexander and Dort, or will it be Nebhard and Mathurin? We're going to have to find out who the next 2 NBA champion Canadians are. You know, when you think about that, that makes it even more prestigious who Chris Boucher is. The fact that Chris Boucher is one of 10 men that has ever won an NBA championship that is Canadian, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. That's a short list. And Chris should be proud. Chris should be proud. That's right. That's what I'm saying right there. That's right. Smooth saying, hey, ESPN gave the Raptors a C- grade for drafting Pascal Siakam. What the hell do they know? Yeah, exactly. You know, these guys are not, they're behind us. They catch up on us later, just like all the love and applause we're getting for our championship guys like Norman, Fred, and Pascal and OG. Y'all are late. Y'all have been late on a lot of stuff. We've done all this stuff way back then, and now y'all come around now. So, yeah, in some ways, it's like a C- when we drafted Pascal. Boy, that was wrong. That just shoots your credibility out the window, ESPN. Like, seriously, how could you fumble that? Oh, you didn't know? Well, maybe you don't know what you're fucking doing. That may be what it is right there. That may be what it is. Trevor J saying Giannis' brother working out in Vaughan. I don't care. Alex Kumto, he can come back to Canada and work out because he knows people here. He played for the 905. This is overblown. People are reading into it too much. In fact, there's people out there making clips about how they're sure that if Giannis is going to move, he's going to be coming to Toronto. They narrowed it down between Brooklyn and Toronto. And Toronto's a much better landing place. And they're for sure trying to get Scotty off our team. That's what they're doing. This whole thing is not about Giannis to Toronto. This is about scooping Scotty out of Toronto and getting him to the States. And y'all need to stop going with this energy, Raptors Nation. Y'all are easily manipulated, obviously, is what this is right now. Understand, trust in Masai. He has a plan. If Masai does what he does, he does. But y'all aren't directing this cruise ship. He is the captain, Stubing, and y'all need to be just sitting in the lounge or out on the deck having a little fruity drink and just enjoy yourself for the ride instead of trying to grab that captain's wheel to steer the Toronto Raptors franchise towards what you think they should do. Now, I get it. Giannis is a top 10, top 4, top 5, top 3 player in this league, a third place vote getter in the MVP race this year. He's a defensive player. This is this. He's this. He's this. He's this. He's this. But as Louis Zatzman is written on Raptors Republic on an article, you know, is his timeline the right one with us right now? No. And that's part of the problem. We have built something for a couple of years now, y'all, around Scotty. And it makes sense around Scotty, but it does not necessarily make sense around Giannis. So it's so stupid. I'm sick of it. If it happens, okay, I'll trust him aside that it was the right thing to do. But for the most part, I do not endorse us trying to acquire Giannis and trading Scotty. That's not the right move. That is not the right move. Scotty, in some ways, has more of a future and potential than Giannis does at this point. And in some ways, the Raptors need to hold on to him and see it through and stop being, short attention span like some Raptors Nation and want to switch tracks so quickly and so suddenly. That does not help you build a foundation in winning, and you got to do it the right way. And fast, easy solutions usually don't work in the NBA. That's what I'll say once again. So I'm sick of it. Y'all can talk about Giannis all you want. Why don't you talk about Kyrie and say, hey, Kyrie comes as a free agent. We don't lose anybody. That's right. That's what I'm saying right there. Yeah. Yeah. Smooth saying, no way Giannis is a top 3 player in the NBA. No disrespect to Infamous, but it's no comparison. No, I mean, he technically is because it was SGA, Nikola, and then Giannis. Like, we're the top 3 vote getters for MVP. So in some ways, and he has been in the top 3 vote getters of MVP for like the last 7 years or something like that. So he is a dominant, very important player. And if you really look at his resume, but this is the thing, we can look at that. And we can also look at personality and what has happened with him with winning. He's won a championship. What's happened since? You know, there's a lot of weird energy around him. Why are the Bucks not better? If he's such a great leader and he's such a top player in the league, and like he's had pretty good playoff people around him, like Brook Lopez and Bobby Portis and Chris Middleton and all these guys, and he's still like they're worse now. Something's wrong, and that to me is red flags. Is that in some ways, I think after any player gets a championship, after they get a championship, they're either going to be a one-timer or that's it. And the one-timer, or they're going to get more. And the guys that go get more, they show a hunger after getting it, like Siakam, like Kobe, like Michael. And in some ways, I'm not saying that Giannis doesn't have that hunger or something like that, but in some ways, he's more satiated because he's got one championship. And going to get the second one is sometimes tougher because you get a little complacent in some ways on the down low. It may not be said or spoken, but you get a little complacent after you've gotten to the top and gotten there. And especially, like, think about this. In some ways, Giannis is going through things in his Bucks career like Siakam and Anunoby and Fred were after our championship. The honeymoon's over. You've gone through struggling years, early exits in the playoffs, humiliation to the Miami Heat, and the magic and the feel of the championship year and all the goodness of it is worn off. In fact, you get a little more jaded because you've lost more, but you've been to the top and you know what that felt like, and you're not getting it again. The feeling of how Pascal felt on the Toronto Raptors near the end is how some ways Giannis feels right now. And so maybe a change of scenery would perk him up and get him out of that, but there's no telling. In some ways, he could be like Kevin Durant and be moving around the league. And just in some ways, he's like fool's gold. You think you're going to get where you're going to get championship, but in some ways, he's also getting in the way of you getting the championship. So I would say that in some ways, I will look at players and say, are they going to add up to getting close to Larry O'Brien or not? And I don't know if Giannis is that guy, even though everybody thinks he is, just because of high level talent that he is. You know what I'm saying? Just think about what I'm saying right here. Fiercely saying, good morning, fam, and happy Thursday. Good morning to you, MJ. Always good to see you in the chat. G saying the rumors are out of control now. KD and Giannis have spoken about teaming up in Toronto. That's amazing. I love that. All right, let's get everybody. Why don't we get Luka over here too while we're at it? Maybe we can get Jaylen Brown to come across and play with Kyrie, Kevin, Giannis, and Luka. And we'll have a super team. And you know what? We don't trade anybody. We'll keep RJ and Scotty too. Yeah, we can do this, Raptors fans. We can make up crazy ass shit all day long if we really want to. Yeah, we can. We can. It's proven. It is proven. That's right. Stargate saying, Kristaps, come on, bro. Hell no. That's right. I was fair about it. Okay, Naz, I can work with. There you go. Stargate, like the second choice. Not big on Porzingis. Nah, same here. Same here. G saying, I would like Markkanen, but really, I just want to see how this team plays first with BI and then see what holes need to be filled. Yeah. I think that's what we're going to do. I think that's the sensible move, unless it's some sort of crazy big fish move that Masai calculated is going to be the best for us. Then otherwise, I think we stand pat and we just cruise in the season, hopefully are healthy, and we just see the addition of Ingram and the draft pick, and we see good stuff from that. That's right. Smooth saying Toronto already has a KD clone in Brandon Ingram, younger too. Yeah, that's another reason why, getting back to Noa Essengue, I don't really think we need Noah because in some ways he shadows Brandon. And obviously he's not Brandon Ingram, who's already a bona fide all-star, most improved player in the NBA. He's a guy who's already done stuff. When he's healthy, we know what Brandon can do. But a lot of the player profile of Noa Essengue is very similar to Brandon Ingram in some ways. Now, not at the same polish or the same tenacity or dependability. No, he's a question mark. He's a project, but he's in that player frame of a Durant or an Ingram kind of guy, Noah. But he's absolutely a project. This is like a Bruno Caboclo. This guy's like 2 years away from 2 years away or something like that. And in some ways, we're not on a schedule where we can wait for that kid. We can wait for Shamshay. He's 1 year in. But I don't know. Essengue may take longer. And, it may be good to have succession coming up underneath. But I don't know. I would trust Bobby Masai if they draft him. But to me, he has high bust factor. He has a high bust probability factor, which I don't like in some ways. Markkanen's a great player. If he was on the Raptors, I'd be happy. But I'd want to see what's going the other way. Let's see. Smooth saying Toronto already has KD. Yep, I read that. Let's see. Honestly, no bias here at all. KD's best landing spot are the Spurs or the Rockets. You want him in Texas? KD? I don't know, man. In some ways, I'm sick of speculating for Kevin Durant. This has been a couple years now where this man's just unsettled, and we're always speculating where Kevin Durant's going to go. I'm sick of it. Kevin Durant, maybe you can just go and retire. How about that at this point? Yeah, I said it. Just go ahead and retire, Kevin. Fiercey's saying hi to Fiercey. Fiercey's saying hi to Infamous. I love it. Let's see. Smooth saying he fits perfectly into what Houston at half-court scorer. Jalen Green and Dylan Brooks gets the deal done. So you're saying they trade Green and Brooks to Phoenix and they get Kevin Durant with the 10th pick too. A fair trade for both sides. Man, I would be suspicious of trading Dylan Brooks for any team after we've seen what he did to Memphis Grizzlies. And also, the success of the Rockets, how much is Dylan Brooks added up to it with Ime Udoka and Fred VanVleet being there? So I was like, I'd be suspicious of that, man. I would say in some ways, I'd rather have Dylan Brooks on my team than Kevin Durant. I know. Isn't that crazy? I would rather have him on there because in some ways, this is where it is. With Dylan Brooks, I know that man's going to play his ass off no matter what and play like a maniac. Kevin Durant might take time off in the middle of the game. We've seen him do that. So in some ways, I ain't having no halftime playing kind of stuff. Kevin can disappear. Kevin is not engaged at times. And Dylan is fully engaged to the point where he's a maniac. So in some ways, you know what? Once again, I'm going to show that this is the basketball fan I am. I'm for winning. I'm not for the names. I'm not for the notoriety. I'm for what makes up winners and gets you to Larry O'Brien. And Kevin Durant blocks you from Larry O'Brien. Dylan Brooks takes you closer. So if I was the Rockets, I wouldn't do that deal because I wouldn't want Durant over Dylan. And I said that. People would be like, you're crazy. You would rather have Dylan Brooks on your team than Kevin Durant? Yeah, I would at this point. Maybe when Kevin was younger, I would have wanted him way, for sure. But at this point, Kevin is washed. And as I said, he's a slim reaper to the team he plays on. He kills his own team. And Dylan Brooks actually adds up to more winning for whatever team he's on. And that's what I'm looking at. The factor of what this person adds to that team that they're on. I don't care if they're a name. They're all NBA. They're this. They're Hall of Famer and shit. If they ain't coming right, LeBron James, they're getting in the way of the championship. And Dylan Brooks is going for a championship the way he plays. Kevin Durant's already half retired as far as I'm concerned, the way he plays right now. That's what I'm saying right there. I wouldn't do that deal if I was Houston. Smooth saying for the Spurs, it's Harrison Barnes and Devin Vassell and the 14th pick for KD. Speaking of Devin Vassell, there's more overtures that Jamaica is recruiting players for their national team. And Devin Vassell's on a list with Isaiah Stewart and Scotty Barnes, that they are reaching out to our young Wayne Barnes to ask him if he would represent the Jamaican national basketball team for international play in FIBA. This is very interesting. I wonder what Scotty will say to them. And wow, that's quite a team they're putting together. It doesn't hurt they're asking Vassell, also a Florida State Seminole that is friends with Scotty, that, it could be very fun for him to be on Team Jamaica with Norman and the Thompson twins and Devin Vassell. Beef Stew also is being reached out to by Jamaica to play for their national team. So very, very interesting news there. Randolph's here. Good to see Randolph Blessings, beloved Raptor Freaks, most informative gang. Taking risks reveals your strength, weakness, resilience, and your right or wrong direction. Yeah. In some ways, it is important to take risks. They say a ship built is not used in a safe harbor. You need to go for voyages and test that, the seaworthiness, and go out there and just see what life brings you. Yeah, I agree with this. This is a great words of wisdom. Blessings to the Phillips family and all the Raptor Freak families. That's right. There you go. Fiercely saying, cutting your hair equals new beginnings, transformation, and renewal. Go, Jacoby. Yeah, it's very interesting. In fact, let's do the Instagram stories because I do want to talk about what's going on. First of all, we got Steve Nash doing an episode with LeBron James on the podcast doing a finals preview for tonight's game. So if you want to catch Canadian MVP, 2-time Canadian MVP, Steve Nash, speaking with LeBron James on finals stuff for the finals, well, you can watch their podcast. It's all new episode is out. Toronto Tempo is fully in on Pride Month, and they're in partnership with Sephora, and they've got a thing out with Shada Jack. She's talking about women and making history and stuff like that. So lots of great clips and stuff coming out from Toronto Tempo. Always, they're building their brand, and I'm here for it. I want to be here from the very beginning and see the great new franchise Toronto Tempo start their WNBA careers. I'm excited. Honestly, I want to watch a lot of WNBA. I want to watch them like I watch the Raptors. I will be a Tempo freak, Teresa Resch. I'm sorry. It just has to happen. Toronto plus basketball equals Lex. And I have to be there. When they got the Raptors here, I was like, it's over. I'm a Raptors freak. That's just how it is. As soon as they announced that we got a team here, I didn't even know what the team name was. That was my team. Well, Tempo, same thing. And I'm coming along for the ride, whether you like it or not. All right, Kelly Olynyk's eating butter chicken, man. And it looks good, man. It looks real tasty. Really good rice. Really good butter chicken sauce. Kelly Olynyk, why you do this to me, man? It's like 10:15. And you got me wanting to eat butter chicken right now in the morning. And I haven't even had lunch. Oh, my gosh. Lindsay Dunn is talking about the worst chocolate bar in the world. And she thinks it's Ritter Sport, dark chocolate with peppermint filling. Yeah, that looks like it might be a little gross. It is from 100% certified sustainable cocoa resources. But in some ways, that's a good thing. But, she's saying yes is all the options on the poll. I don't know. That's not how you're supposed to do product endorsement, Lindsay. You're supposed to endorse the product, not reject the product. I don't know. I wonder if she's getting money for this. She's negging this chocolate, and all of a sudden, the price of the sales of the chocolate goes up, and they're like, "Thank you, Lindsay. Here's your cut." Also, it's World Corgi Day or something like that. International Corgi Day, and Lindsay's got a corgi, and she's saying, "Happy International Corgi Day to my main B." B. You know what B stands for. And I don't know why, but she's got like at least 2 pictures of the dog taking a shit on this post right here. It's funny, man. That dog looks so cute and fun. Lindsay, you got a good life. You talk to Blake Shelton and you've got a cool dog that's a corgi. All right, this is what was going on last night, and this is interesting, y'all. All right, these Raptors are obviously back in Toronto, some of the younger guys, and they were out bowling last night. Specifically our Raptors rookies from last year for the most part, but they were all posting bowling scores on their Instagram stories last night. And I want to suss out who was winning and what was going on. So first we'll look at Jacoby's Instagram. He's doing the salute, and he won this matchup. It was him against AJ Lawson, Jonathan Mobo, and Grady Dick, who was there also. And it looks like Jacoby scored 159, which is, it's not bad. Perfect score is 300. I took bowling at FSU, so I know a lot about bowling. I took it as a class at Florida State. Grady got a 138, which he came in second. And Grady's a good athlete, and Grady only got 1 strike, but he had like 4 spares, it looks like, so that's not bad. Then AJ Lawson had 100, and Jonathan lagging behind with only a 78. Pretty bad, pretty bad. So, Jacoby winning that one on this one, but there's more games, and we'll get to them. Then this next one, I look at the next scoreboard. It's Jacoby Walter, AJ Lawson, Grady Dick, and Jonathan Mobo once again. And this time, it's a very close game between Jacoby and Grady. Jacoby beats him by 2 pins, 178 to 176. Jacoby over Grady Dick. And then Jonathan was close, 129. He had a better game, and the AJ came in last on that one. But Grady got a turkey, y'all. He got 3 strikes in a row, which is really, really impressive. In the 3rd, 4th, and 5th frame, Grady Dick getting 3 strikes in a row. That's turkey. That's turkey. Good job, Grady Dick. But you lost still because Jacoby ended up doing better overall in the scoring there. Interesting stuff. Let's see Jonathan's scorecards real quick. AJ Lawson was calling them out at first, saying these boys are dookie at playing at bowling. And I think a couple of guys bowed out and stopped bowling after a little while. And that was Shed and a Battle. But yeah, in this scorecard, I see we've got AJ Lawson, Jamal Shed, Jonathan Mobo, and Jamison Battle. And the scores are bad. They're really, really bad. First, AJ Lawson's got 76. It's only halfway through the game. And then the other guys are all like 36, 35, and 22. Jamison Battle in particular looking really bad at bowling here. And I'm not sure where they were. Maybe they're the rec room or some sort of fun place to be at. But they got the Raptors logo on the on the bowling alley. So they may have rented this out just for the Raptors and nobody else was there because they put their Raptors stuff on there. And like, wow. Jonathan's mad, I guess, at AJ for blasting them for being dookie at bowling. He's saying, oh, wow. Oh, wow. But Jonathan gets the last laugh. There is a game where Jonathan wins later. He'd done very poorly, but there is a game where he played against Grady, Jamal Shed, and Jacoby Walter, where he scored 109 and won the game. And Jacoby Walter was second with 103. Grady got 73 in this game, and Jamal Shed got 65. So, yeah, J-Mo did win one of the bowling games. Slight dub, as he puts it. AJ Lawson, there he is, calling out the guys as being dookie at bowling right there on his Instagram. We got this is a really cool clip, and this is Chris Boucher who posted this. They did the pre-finals interviews with players from the Thunder and the Pacers, and Miles Turner got up to the microphone, and they asked him about Siakam. And basically what Miles Turner was saying was that he thinks that Siakam's G League experience was huge in who he is, that he won a championship on the G League and was the G League MVP. And then he went right into a championship with the Raptors. And that Miles Turner really, really appreciates Pascal Siakam being on the team with him because what I've been saying, he has the treasure map, the ability to know what it takes to get to Larry O'Brien, and that this is proving invaluable for this run in the playoffs that the Indiana Pacers are on right now, that it's essential is basically what Miles Turner's saying. Is like Pascal gives us a confidence and a knowledge of what to do. Like I showed up today for this press conference and I had no idea what to do because Siakam has been here for the finals. He could tell me how to handle being in the finals. So I appreciate him for that. This is Miles Turner, the longest standing Indiana Pacer. He's played for this team for 12 plus years. And well, I love hearing him sing the praises of Siakam. And Chris Boucher's putting it on blast. The G League is a grind. And he respects where Siakam came from for that. We got Orlando Robinson. He's got a picture of Skanska. He's on a plane somewhere. He's flying somewhere to somewhere. I don't know where Orlando's going exactly, but he's just taken off. Andrew Jones went to a CBL game. He actually went to the Montreal Lions game to watch Quincy Guerrier play. So he went to watch one of his players on the team. I hope Quincy's back on 905 next year. It makes sense. Why not bring him back? He's great crossover for the G League and the CBL. A great Canadian kid from Montreal. And, well, Canadian content on 905 also. Bring Q back, Luke Wynn. And let's have Quincy Guerrier running around for the 905 once again this season coming up in the G League. That's right. That's right. So Andrew Jones supporting his 905 player as he plays in CBL. Very, very cool. Also, he's got, when you get to work with the newest Raptors fellow big, congratulations, Justina King. So Justina King is a former assistant coach for the 905, I think, or she's some sort of support staff that's been working for the 905, but she just got the Wayne Embry Fellowship awarded to her. So she's graduating from the G League team, the 905, to come and work for Masai and the Raptors, the main squad. So congratulations to her. There were two names mentioned. I don't remember their names, though. Justina is one of them. Justina. And Andrew's congratulating her for that. So very, very cool. There she is. Justina King working with the 905 in the past is now on the fellowship with Wayne and Teresa Embry. There you go. And then Andrew Jones' son is out there playing soccer, and he's killing it. He's just like dribbling the ball around people in circles is on there. Norman Powell's top plays from the year. And there's something about Norman that's come out this morning that I'm very troubled about and I'm kind of upset about. And it's kind of pissing me off, honestly. Norman's out there golfing. Apparently, the Canadian Revenue Agency is coming after Norman for millions of dollars, I don't know, 4 or 5 years after the fact. That apparently he got some signing bonuses with the Raptors on his last contract, and they were supposed to be taxed at 15%, which is part of the U.S. Canada treaty for trade. And they're trying to get a bigger chunk of money from Norman. This is not good. Canada Revenue Service, shut the fuck up. Leave this man alone. He's not lived in Canada for a couple years now, and y'all coming after him for millions of dollars in back taxes is not a good look. In some ways, they've done this to athletes that played in Canada more recently, like Josh Donaldson. They did this to him. Russell Martin. They did this to John Tavares. They're coming after MLB and NHL guys, and now they're messing with Norman, our former Raptor champion, for back taxes on money he's been paid by the Raptors, and the Canadian government wants a percentage. This does not help us at all, Canadian government. Stop fucking doing this. Just tax them at the fair rate. And part of the problem is y'all are overzealous. And what's happened is in your cases against Donaldson, you lost. And you were wrong for coming for that percentage. So they are going to cite the case with Josh Donaldson. And Norman Powell is probably not going to have to pay this. But man, why do you do this? No wonder people say bullshit like they do, like Thad Young would say what he said, or Norman even in the past saying something any dubiously. Now, does this make more sense that maybe Norman's, some of his comments may be like, well, I have a thing where the Canadian government's coming after me for back taxes right now, and that's shaping his mind. I'd say Norman's been very kind and loving towards Toronto and the Raptors either way, considering that the Canadian Revenue Agency is coming after him for millions of dollars right now, which is messed up. That man has not played for our team for 3 years. In some ways, CRA, stop fucking hassling people like this. Go hassle Galen Weston and get his fair share of taxes. Go hassle Doug Ford and his shady ass deals and his pushing through Bill 6 yesterday. It was absolutely corrupt piece of shit, Doug Ford. You go harass people like that, and not Norman Powell, okay? CRA, you bastards. That's why I say to that right there. He's also going to be at Skechers, a grand opening on the Pacific Coast Highway down in Torrance. So, yeah, if you want to see Norman, you're in California, he's going to be at a Skechers doing an autograph signing. What day is that? What day is that going to be on? That's going to be on, that's from 1 to 2. They don't have the date, though, on here. What is the date, Norman? You got to tell us the date so we can put you on blast for this. It doesn't even say. Oh, June the 6th. Okay, so it's tomorrow. It's tomorrow. Okay, so it's tomorrow. All right, let's keep going. Emmanuel Quickly is putting in that work. He's doing some runs with some players. Nice to see his little hezzy and then lay it up, put it in the hoop. So Emmanuel's on the court, putting in work in a pickup game right now. I don't know if I see any other players that I recognize in the clip. Maybe just be running some sort of like pickup game somewhere. Lloyd's shoes are on the ground. I don't know what that's about. Jamal Shedd's talking about how it's about watering the roots. It's not watering the flowers, it's watering the roots in Houston with Coach Kelvin Sampson. And there's a nice little lineup of Houston Cougars that have been very successful in recent years. And there's Jamal on the end there wearing the number 1 in front of Eves Missy. So very, very cool stuff there. I think that's Eves Missy. No, that's not Eves Missy. What are you doing, Lex? As Monique pointed out yesterday, they do have the Raptors official draft cap. And some people are making light that there's purple on it. Now, if they do a rebrand this year coming up, I think that the 2 main colors of the team might be red and purple. Yeah, we might get rid of black and trade purple in. Now, Raptors fans going to be happy with the red-purple motif. We've done it before. In some ways, it's not the most appealing. I still think black and red are the right colors for the Raptors. But so many people in Raptors Nation love purple so much, they won't shut up about it. I could see the Raptors doing a rebrand this fall and purple being re-added as one of our regular colors. Just as much as I don't want that to happen, I do understand that it might. And the fact that the draft cap has purple on it may be foreshadowing this. We'll have to see. But yeah, it is the official cap of the NBA draft for the Raptors. And Leo Routins has posted this 2 minutes ago. Everything I lose creates space for everything I need. There you go. Boom goes the dynamite. Thank you, Leo, for your words of wisdom. There's the Instagram stories for today. They were bowling last night. And apparently the best bowler, I would say the best bowler may be Jacoby, Grady, and AJ. Those are probably the 3 best bowlers out of that group that was there. But great to see that the Raptors are together and probably in Toronto playing bowling together and probably going to OVO and working hard together too. That's what we want to see right there. Randolph saying, Lex, who will be the first superstar to join the Raptors? I think it's KD, and there's a good possibility that may happen this offseason. The first superstar to join the Raptors, I would say maybe it was Vince Carter. I don't know. I would say this. I'm not looking for any other superstars. We got superstars on our team. Superstar Jay Barrett, superstar named IQ, superstar named Scotty Barnes. And this is my word of wisdom today. Stop looking outwardly for happiness and getting yourself better. Look inwardly and understand that you have it all inside yourself already. And you lack for nothing outside of you. And I'll say the same thing about the Raptors roster. To Raptors Nation. We lack for nothing outside of us. We have exactly what we need. We just need to get healthy and go forward. Brandon Ingram is our superstar, Randolph. Brandon Ingram is that superstar acquisition. And in some ways, he's a younger Kevin Durant who's not as jaded and does a lot of the things Kevin Durant used to do better than him at this point, I would say. Yeah, if you're comparing Kevin Durant to Brandon Ingram's fully healthy. He's a better player to have right now than Kevin Durant. I would say that right now. Because in some ways, like I said, Kevin, there's something weird about his energy. It's like he's checked out. It's like he's jaded. It's like he gets in the way of winning because you want to depend on him because he's such a power. But when the crunch time happens and when things are going wrong, from what I saw in Brooklyn and Phoenix, he fades away into the distance and he's not there for his team to carry them like he used to when he played for the Thunder and the Warriors. So in some ways, Kevin Durant on the down low is washed. Is what I'm going to say. And he doesn't need to be on the Raptors. No, he doesn't. That's what I'll say right there. G saying Scotty going for the Jamaican Olympic team along with Osur twins, Powell, Isaiah Stewart, and Vassell. That's not the accurate statement. They are reaching out to Scotty to ask him if he will play for them. It's not necessarily that Scotty has interest in doing it or he will. It's just that Jamaica is publicly announcing that they're going to talk to Scotty, Beef Stew, and Devin Vassell about joining the Twins and Norman Powell on the team. Those guys are for sure. The Twins and Norman are for sure. There's nothing for sure about those other three guys. There's just a preliminary report that they're being reached out to gauge their interest in possibly playing for Jamaica. That's right. Kaloy saying Jamaica team going to be stacked. Yeah, not for sure yet, guys. Once again, let's not get ahead of it. Scotty has not said he's playing for Jamaica yet. Then we want to make sure that we get the facts right. That's what I'm going to say right there. Yeah, Trevor's saying NBA draft coming up soon this month. Yeah, I guess we've got about 3 weeks still, though. We're, we got a couple more Thursday think tanks where we'll look at stuff like we did today with a player. But yeah, that's 25th and 26th, I believe, is when the NBA draft is. And so we got about 3 weeks still, about 3 weeks. Let's see. There's been a lot of news in the last day or so. Of course, we had the Tom Thibodeau firing, which I'm absolutely delighted by. Because honestly, I dared them to do it and they did it. And I'm like, oh, it's so awesome. It's going to really screw them up. We talked about that. Fiercely saying, my cousin's not impressed with the fact our PM has not congratulated SGA for winning MVP, but would have probably done it for a hockey player. If he did put out a statement, I retract my comment. I don't think that Mark Carney will say anything about SGA or whoever until, somebody wins. We'll see. I don't know. I think that he may do a statement about SGA at some point. I don't know. That's interesting. I have not seen one, if there is one. But I in some ways, there's more important things than this. I mean, the man's very busy. He's got so much going on right now, the prime minister. And, I wrote a message to Mark Carney to tell him that federally, I'd like you to block Bill 6 and protect our indigenous lands and our environmental protections beyond Doug Ford's power grab of bullshit that he just did with Bill 6 yesterday, passing it, which is absolutely a dreadful bill. It's not the will of the people. Ontario is not being run by someone who's actually listening to the people and doing what they want. He's just doing what he wants and what his corporate and business friends want. And in some ways, this bill that passed yesterday is not good. I hate it. And I want it to be fought against, and it will be. Environmentalists, indigenous groups, and people like me are going to be fighting against this still. You can go ahead and think you have willy-nilly chance to just go bulldoze big, huge swaths of forests in places like Ontario Place just because that's what you want to do. But we will be there, and we will be chaining ourselves to things, and we will be stopping you still. And you can say, oh, we can do this now because we changed the rights with your power grab yesterday, Doug Ford. But the people will fight you, and we will fuck you up over this in the end. Watch. Because this is bullshit. You want to ram through your dumbass extra highway. You want to ram through building more and more buildings just because you don't like environmental people doing assessments and telling you got to wait or you can't do it here because you're going to hurt this or that. You are fucked up for that. And you need to respect the treaties that we have indigenous people also. So Doug Ford, big 2-finger salute to you for passing your Bill 6 yesterday. Nobody wanted this, and whoever voted for it, fuck you also, is what I'm going to say. And just because you passed it don't mean we're not going to still resist it. And we're going to fight you to the end and stop you still from your bullshit and your bulldozers. That's what I'm going to say right there. A little aside there, real quick. A little aside. Yeah, if we're going to talk politics, I don't care about him congratulating SGA. He will congratulate them at some point. I care about what I just said right there. G saying, apparently All-Stars will be Team USA versus World. Yes, this is a great announcement yesterday. I mean, they need to do this. In some ways, this actually could be a real antidote for problems with the All-Star game. Now, the Olympics happened last summer, and there was a lot of bravado. In some ways, the whole dumb thing about the insecurity of USA basketball staying on top is scared. Ooh, it's like, in some ways, they want USA to win the gold no matter what, because they have to have the ensconced top dog of the whole entire world. But in some ways, there's also a lot more debate about what side has actually got better players, the world or USA. And well, let's put our money where the mouth is and actually put that game in there. The thing about that matchup is there is a lot of bragging rights. And in some ways, there's a lot of pressure on the Americans to hold the standard of the Americans are the best in the world. Well, we got way more better players on Team International. And in some ways, we're going to show you all that next year at the All-Star game. I can talk about our lineup with Jokic and SGA and Luka and Giannis. And, we've got the top 5 players in the league basically on Team World. And, you guys can have Jason Tatum and Ant-Man and all that stuff, but we're going to kick y'all's ass because we're going to have a better team overall, Team World. And I'm here for it. I think this will get the guys to play hard because in some ways it's about bragging rights. Now, if the NBA wants to keep the status quo, they'll manipulate the game to make sure the U.S. wins. But I hope they don't. I hope you let them play for real, Adam Silver. Let them have a true contest. And let's really test who has the best players in the world at this point, the United States or the whole rest of the world has caught up and actually better. So many people are arrogant about it. There's a lot of American guys like Draymond Green that say, oh, no, the rest of the world hasn't caught up to us yet. I don't know. There's a lot of science pointing that we have, and we're actually surpassed you. And some of it has to do with MVPs in recent years. Some of it has to do with the top players in the league being all international players. So it's like, the top U.S. player in the league is not the best player in the NBA. The top player in the NBA is a Canadian right now. So I'm just saying, I'll love it. Let's go world versus USA. And let's really see where the bragging rights lie. And in some ways, it could be very interesting. I just hope there's no manipulation. They let them actually play for real. And maybe competition will come out of this because of the whole situation. There very much could be a very energetic All-Star game this year because of this settings. I'm telling you right now, man. Infamous saying facts, Lex. We were being used as leverage. Yeah, in some ways, they use the Raptors and Masai's really badass resume in certain ways over time. And in some ways, Bobby Masai understand this, and hopefully they're utilizing it for their advantage. But also at the same time, I think that a lot of the hot air and the things that are talked about around the Raptors are bullshit almost all the time. It's very, very rarely, if I hear it's news and it's happening, then I'll believe it. But there's so much bullshit. And in some ways, they can't go out and talk about it all. They can't denounce it all. They're just going to do their job. And if we just stay pat and sail right through this offseason with the roster we already have, I'm going to be like, yeah, I told y'all. We weren't trying to do nothing. It was just a lot of hot air that happened this summer. There's people like Shams coming out and saying this is going to be the craziest summer ever in the NBA. There's going to be so much movement. There's going to be so much change. It's going to be so crazy. It's going to be surreal. So okay, Shams. Okay, you're just trying to sell the product, man. In some ways, you're getting people all juiced up for something. And what if nothing happens? And everybody's like, well, where was all this shit that they were saying? I thought this was going to be one of the biggest, craziest summers in NBA history. What if it doesn't happen? And it's just like what happens with the Raptors sometimes where we just kind of cruise through. We don't make any moves. And all the Raptors fans and fans like that are fans of trades and stuff like that, they're disappointed. Oh, the Raptors didn't end up doing anything. Good. That's what I would say if that happened. That's right. Stargate saying, yes, this is all about trying to get Scotty back down there in the U.S. to a U.S. team. And Raptors fans are once again letting people use the Jedi mind tricks on them. I know. I don't understand why they're not smart enough to see this. Raptors fans, aren't you smart enough to see that they're playing you right now? They want to test how loyal you are to Scotty Barnes. And y'all are failing. A lot of y'all are failing majorly right now. I'm not. I love Scotty. I'm picking Scotty. I don't want Giannis. I'm picking Scotty. And I think that we're on the timeline with Scotty. We built this whole thing around Scotty. We didn't build this around Giannis. And Giannis coming here don't make total sense. It does not at all. And in some ways, they're testing to see how quick we throw Scotty away. And y'all are failing. A lot of y'all are failing in Raptors Nation right now because y'all are being duped and you're falling for this Bleacher Report kind of energy that's trying to see, well, let's see if we can pry Scotty out from the Raptors fan nation. They love him so much up there. Him and his teammates get along so well. Scotty loves it in Toronto. How do we get him out of there? Well, let's get the fans to show that they're turncoats and that they'll easily sell Scotty out for Giannis and Antetokounmpo. Yeah, you guys are being played, and I hate it. I hate that y'all are so stupid and casual that you're so easily played like Nick Nurse at a piano. Seriously, have some pride, Raptors fans, and stay loyal to your dudes, Barrett and Barnes, and stop making the trade machines. Seriously, y'all are idiots, man. Y'all are idiots that are all about this whole thing going on right now, and you don't even realize how you're being played. Seriously, you don't. Fiercely saying, I don't want Giannis either, especially if that's true, that he wants to be involved in team business decisions wherever he lands. Looks like LeBron all over again, so no thanks. Yes, there's a provisions that Giannis wants. He's wants three things. He does want to stay in the Eastern Conference. He wants to have a seat at the table with the GM talking about what direction and movements and things are going to happen. The GM is not wanted up here. We said no to Kawhi on this. So why the hell would we say yes to Giannis now? Well, maybe because Giannis and Masai have a working relationship already, and there's some trust there. I don't know. In some ways, that is not appealing to me either. I want players to be players. I don't want players to be front office. That's never, ever a good idea. Now, it's different if Scotty's sitting in the draft room or hanging out and gleaning knowledge from Bobby Webster and Masai Ujiri from, just being present in different things. And, if Masai and Bobby want to come to Scott and ask his opinion on stuff and then include him, that's different. But if Giannis wants to be in the room and demand things or say, this is how we're doing it, Masai, this is how we're doing it, Scotty's not doing that. Scotty's probably involved in the decision-making. He's probably consulted. But ultimately, Scotty's not the one directing or telling Masai and Bobby what to do. And that's maybe the difference between what we're talking about here as far as what Giannis might expect when he comes here. It may be more like LeBron and what he did. And we know that LeBron, being the GM, got the Lakers nowhere. So we don't want to make that mistake. There's cautionary tales around the league, and that one is one like that. That's right. Nako saying number one, Jokic. Yeah, this is bullshit. In fact, I'm mad at the Ringer or whatever, the Bleacher Report, whoever. They come out with their top 100 of the NBA, and they slight in every which way. They slight all kinds of ways. I could get into details and go on about it, but I don't want to give it too much attention. The MVP this year is SGA, who's the number one player on their ranking, Nikola. So there's still some ways they're going to slight SGA as being the number one player in the league. He's the MVP. So what the fuck, Ringer? Why do you put Nikola at number one? Seriously, that's bullshit. I don't care if he had the best statistical season this year. The MVP is SGA, and he's the one who's in the finals, and he's the one who beat Nikola. So I'm just saying, it's annoying. Number one, Joker. Number one, SGA. Number three, Giannis. I think Joker and SGA have the hunger. Denver and Nuggets don't have the hunger. Okay, you think Joker and SGA have the hunger. Well, we know SGA has the hunger because he ain't been fed yet. But Joker, I don't know, man. I think he's thirsty. I don't think he's hungry. I think he's thirsty for that. Look. A lot of beer. That's what he wants right there. That's right. Cream saying Giannis knows he's spinning his wheels in Wisconsin. He is just too polite about it. Yeah, that may be true. But also we know he's a fiercely loyal person. He's got young children. And in some ways, look, as I said, he's played with Dame Lillard a couple of years now. And Lillard can be all kinds of information for him about uprooting yourself from a franchise that you've been the only team on, and he could tell him the difference about it. And in some ways, maybe Lillard's able to tell him, it's like, look, I thought I had it so bad in Portland, but in hindsight, now I really realize in some ways I maybe made the mistake trying to leave Portland so harsh like that. And in some ways, I'm not totally happy since I've come to Milwaukee. And I'm warning you, bro, if you try and do this, and it may be that Lillard talks to him in a self-serving way because he wants him to stay there in Milwaukee with him. but it would still be valid. I mean, Dame Lillard is a similar case. He could literally tell him, this is what I went through in the last 2 years, and this is what you would go through if you did this too, maybe. You know, I would love, in some ways, I want Giannis to go to the Knicks. I really do. I want him to go to the Knicks because I think that would be an absolute shit show. Seriously. And in some ways, it'll mess up what the Knicks have done well. In some ways, it'll stymie Giannis from getting somewhere. And this is exactly what I want. Confusion, too big, good to be true. Knicks fans will go crazy. They'll be like, we got Giannis, we got Giannis. It'll be too good to be true. And it'll be hilarious to see how they fail, even with Antetokounmpo on their team. So if he's going to land somewhere in the Eastern Conference, I'd love for him to land on the Knicks and the Knicks to trade some of their big pieces away to get him. That would be awesome, man. That'd be awesome. Neil saying, Lex, Bucks front office fucked up. Giannis is in his prime, and the best they can do is get Kyle Kuzma. This ain't about Giannis. This is about the Bucks front office that needs a shakeup. Yeah, they're horrible. They've been one of the worst franchise front offices in the last 3 years. Seriously. From firing Coach Bud to the handling of Adrian Griffin to trading Chris Middleton for Kyle Kuzma. What are they doing? They're idiots. And no wonder Giannis is not having a vote of confidence in what they're doing, because they're a very bad front office. Absolutely dreadful front office, Milwaukee Bucks. Very, very bad at their jobs. And they've gotten worse and worse since their championship. They have not gotten anywhere near being close to the level they were the year they won the championship over Phoenix. Yeah, they're getting worse, man. Blackhawks saying Brook Lopez is doing the Frankenstein dance on the court during the playoffs. I'm going to be the Jamaican mascot, Booyaka Booyaka, for the Olympic team. Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting, Neil. I didn't know that. I hope I'll see you on Saturday at Monique's birthday party, Neil. Hopefully you can come by again with your daughter or whoever you can bring. Stargate saying that is one potentially stacked team for Jamaica. Yeah, it could be very much a power. We've seen how NBA players can really bring up international teams right now with Cat and Dominican. There's a lot of different possibilities with NBA players jumping on different FIBA teams internationally, where it makes the Olympics and World Cup so much more, even more exciting, because there's just that much more talent around on these smaller teams. I don't understand why people weren't doing this more in the past. Seriously, Jamaica should have been up there already, man. I can't believe nobody's really came around to try and play for Jamaica until now. Seriously, in some ways, it's like, what y'all been doing, man? There's got to have been some high level Jamaican players in the NBA in the past. Why weren't they elevating their home country's team? You know what I'm saying? Let's see. Stargate saying, heck, they can add the Champagne twins in Delano as well. Yeah, they do have Jamaican roots in there too. That's right. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Where's this been? Why hasn't Jamaica had a team already? Is what I'm wondering. Wayne saying, morning, Raptor Freaks. Let the finals begin. Haven't heard anything about Roden. Hope he's working hard. We like him. Yeah, Roden's fine. He's been in Toronto. He's been posting pictures of himself with his dog. And he's also been around the Raptors. He was at the Leaf playoff game with everybody in the picture with Colin Castleton and AJ Lawson and Shed and Walter. So he is present. It's just, we got to remember, Jared Roden got hurt at the end of the season. He had surgery and he's on the mend. So he is not totally healthy to compete and practice with the players right now, but he is in the fold and he's around, and I'm monitoring him through his social media. So he's good. He's good. Don't worry. Smith saying, hey, Lex, if he owes it, he owes it. Those are the rules, man. Yeah, but there's some ambiguity about this with Norman and his taxes. This is what I'm going to say. The thing is about it is that they're not his normal salary. They're incentives for him that they were laden in his contract. And the understanding at the time was that they would be taxed at 15%. And the CRA is coming back around saying, no, we want to tax you at the full Canadian tax percentage. But that wasn't the understanding at the time when he signed the deal with the Raptors and what he was doing. And the Raptors sold that to him that way. So it's kind of a screwed up thing, man. And like I said, the Canadian government's been doing this to different players recently, and it's not a good look. In some ways, we don't need this kind of press. This hurts us with recruiting people in free agency. And I'm mad at the CRA. I fuck the government. I mean, I know taxes are important, and I want everybody to pay their fair share. But until the billionaires are paying their fair share, I don't care. a high-profile millionaire like Norman Powell, don't mess with him. Go mess with the people that are really robbing us at the top, the 1%, the billionaires. Seriously, because Norman's small potatoes. And once again, this guy's already left, and this is not helping with the optics of playing for the Toronto Raptors when the Canadian government is going after back taxes on a guy like Norman, when he thought everything was settled because the agreement was 15% that he'd be taxed at on that. So they're coming to get a higher percentage. That's greedy to me. In some ways, that's greedy by the government. But that's the thing. They changed the rules on him. And in some ways, they're coming back and saying, no, that's not right. I'm telling you, that's not right. I do believe in people paying their taxes and, taking care of the services and doing what they do. But in some ways, I don't like how they're coming at Norman. And in some ways, it's because he's a Raptor and I'm selfish. And I want the Raptors to be okay. And I don't like this bad publicity is what I'm saying. So Infamous saying, I agree, Lex. It's not a good look. I can't stand the revenue agency. They're always getting things wrong. That's what they found in the situations with the Blue Jays. When they went to court and they fought it, they found that the CRA was actually in the wrong and that they had the miscalculations. So I'm hoping that that's what this is. And I hate that they're dragging Norman back into court or making this a hassle for him. He doesn't need any of this. And in some ways, this does not help the whole situation of being the only Canadian team in the NBA, is what I'm saying. Mischief's here. Good to see Mischief. It's been a little while, man. Good to see the base man in the house. Noa Essengue has a 9-foot 3-inch standing reach. Asa Newell has an 8-foot 11 standing reach. I might have to put Essengue instead of Asa. Well, the reach is good. And what is that? That's 4 inches. I mean, the problem is, man, and I know that you're a very astute draft scouter because you really look at them. And I know Jay has looked at these guys in this draft very, very extensively already. And he knows them really well. But I've looked at them too. And the thing that I saw is Asa Newell is more of a finished product who's ready to help the Raptors now. Noa Essengue is like a few years away from really being a solid rotation player. And I just don't want to wait for him in some ways, because in some ways we're going to need a big next year. And he's not even really truly a big. That's the other problem with him, is that he doesn't actually play low post or play that. He doesn't have any low post moves. That's the thing. He's a cutter. He's a guy who's going to shoot from outside. He's going to attack the rim, putting the ball on the floor. And I don't like that. In some ways, I do want a guy who can have footwork and post up and do some things near the basket like Newell will. So I'll take the slight less of a wingspan with the further along. And the other huge thing that's different about Asa and Noah is that Asa doesn't shy away from the contact. He takes it right to guys to the chest. He bumps people off and he finishes. Noa Essengue is a finesse player that shies away from contact. And he, in some ways, I'm worried about him being a bust in Mischief. I'm worried about him being a bust. I'm worried that Noa Essengue is one of these guys that's like physically looks like a real talent in his frame and everything, but maybe he's a youngster who's not as got as like a fight in him. A lot of his clips, like I said earlier, have been against lower, lesser talented players that he can look real good against. Meanwhile, I got Asa Newell playing in the SEC against Kentucky, against Florida. And these are very high caliber teams he's playing against and excelling and being the main man for the Georgia Bulldogs. So I'll respectfully disagree with you, but it's mainly because I feel like Essengue is more of a project. He's not necessarily a true center. And I feel like Asa Newell, even though he's being listed as a power forward, he's going to be a true center in a couple of years in the vein of like a Nicholas Claxton type center. So I'll respectfully disagree with you, Mischief, but that's a good point. Essengue in some ways has a bigger frame with wingspan, but his footwork does not have anything close to Newell's. And he's also, like I said, he's guy who shies away from contact. Newell takes it right to them, and Newell get hit on the arm, and he still finishes shots. In some ways, Essengue is too weak right now to do that. He'd have to be in the weight room. And like I said, I'm very suspicious when ESPN is pushing names on us in their mock draft, just like Jalen Suggs. That's usually a misdirection. That's usually ESPN wishing we take this guy because they know somebody's going to have to take this guy. And maybe some of them have knowledge like I do in saying there's a high bust factor with Noa Essengue. High bust factor. That's what I'm going to say about this. Yeah. So we're saying, don't these NBA guys based in Canada have accountants that specialize in U.S. Canada tax? Hang on, it jumped ahead. Let me get back to it. No. Okay. Whoa, where is it? Yeah, don't these NBA guys based in Canada have accountants that specialize in U.S. tax rules to make sure mistakes don't happen? Yes, and that's why this is kind of bullshit, because what was agreed upon and understood in 2022, all of a sudden 3 years later, the CRA wants more money. So that's the bullshit right there. They agreed to certain thing and certain tax things then, but now the CRA is trying to say that Norman should be taxed at the full Canadian percentage, not the agreed upon U.S. Canada tariff treaty percentage of 15%. They want a huge percentage of the money's already earned, and in some ways that's messed up because the man wasn't expecting this at all, and he had already agreed and done everything with his contract and even played for the Raptors. When's the last time he played for the Raptors? It's like 3 years ago. Why the hell are they coming at him now? Is what I'm saying. And this article came out this morning. This is fresh breaking news that the CRA is asking for more money from Norman Powell for some reason. I don't get it. Let's see. Cool Cat saying, good morning, Raptor Freak crew. Tuning in very late, better than never. Laugh out loud. Yeah, what, 90 minutes in? We're about an hour in. We still got we got about a half hour or more. Cool Cat saying, Scotty is more locked to play for Team USA. He declined them last year for training, which included his friend Cade. I don't see him playing for Team Jamaica unless Team USA turns him away. Now, it's ambiguous. All right, he was on the select roster big list, but he didn't make the next cut. That's part of it. He's saying that he declined them. I don't think that's what happened. If they had asked him to come, he would have been there. Seriously. I think that in some ways, the Team USA shows that they have a pool that they like to dip in, and Scotty's in that pool, and they showed that, like, yeah, he's going to be on the 40 list, but he didn't make the first cut. They cut him, just like a lot of other guys. So I think that's kind of misrepresented that he declined them. I think it's more that he didn't get asked to the next camp, as sad as that sounds. And in some ways, this is partly the hierarchy of, like, they want to really put Banchero ahead of him, which is bullshit, honestly. There are really weird slights that happen in weird ways to Scott, partly because he's on the Raptors. But he's so good, he should be able to overcome all this. Now, there is a worry that he won't play for Jamaica, partly because he doesn't want it to screw up his standing with Team USA. So I don't know. I don't know what could happen. I don't even know if there's rules. Like, if you declare to play for Team Jamaica, would he be able to be eligible for Team USA, or would it be a real task and real headache? That may stop him from playing from Jamaica, is because he is absolutely true that Scotty wants to play for Team USA. And he won't screw up his chance to play for United States just to play for Jamaica. I don't think he would. So anybody's getting their hopes up for Scotty to play for Jamaica, that's not for sure in any kind of way. And it may have to do with this, what I'm talking about right now. Cool Cat saying, Doug Ford won his election. Those were the unintended consequences when we don't choose our leaders properly. Well, I'm going to say this, Cool Cat. The election was rigged here because they gerrymander and they get rid of certain areas. And in some ways, it's just like the states, but it's a different way of doing it. I don't actually believe that Doug Ford is the popular leader of this province. And I think that the Canadian election system's fucked up at this point. And that in some ways, him getting rid of seats in the city of Toronto so that there's less MPPs and stuff like that down there is a symbol of him being a power grab once he got into office. And there's a reason why he keeps winning these elections, because he's rigged it for him to win them easily. So don't blame the people. I blame a dictator who forced himself into the office, who's not listening to people, and he's going totally against everybody. So fuck Doug Ford, and don't stand up for him and blame the people. Stand up for the corrupt system that allowed him to be in power when he shouldn't be in power right now. He should not be the premier of Ontario. And the fact that he got in is partly because they stoke low voter turnout, because they make people apathetic and they make people feel like there's no point. And in some ways, the system is rigged and messed up to the point. So no, I'm giving you a strike for blaming the voters. No, it's a bad system. And Doug Ford manipulated the system when he came into office by getting rid of certain areas and seats and consolidating them into one seat. So there's less votes in certain ways. And in some ways that benefits him to ram through a stupid ass bill like yesterday. So it's a very bad bill. And I'm telling you right now, we're going to fight it no matter what. And we're going to stop him still. And hopefully, if justice is served, he will get kicked out of office. He will see criminal charges, and hopefully he'll go to jail at some point, because just like Trump, he needs to go to jail. He needs to go to jail. So does Danielle Smith. Everybody's breaking treaties with indigenous people and not listening to the will of people. They're dictators. And people that are fascists need to fucking go to jail, is what I'm going to say right there. Shame on you for blaming the voters. The voters are apathetic because they're not getting out there, because they're taught that they can't do anything. And then they're also gerrymandering stupid ass districts at this point and cutting them out. That's what I'll say to that. Stargate saying, I missed the scouting report earlier. Who did you scout, Lex? Well, we're talking about Noa Essengue of France. He's an 18-year-old who's about 6'11". He's got a very impressive wingspan, as Mischief has said. He's got some very good, interesting prospects of possibility, but nothing's guaranteed in this world. And as far as I'm concerned, he might be the French Bruno Caboclo, for all I know at this point. So I'm not high on him anymore. I watched him a couple times before, and I said, well, I could see where he could be good. But the more I thought about it, is he's a project. He's nowhere near ready for the NBA with his frame. And there's much better players that have similar bodies to him in this draft, like Asa Newell. And honestly, I think Asa Newell should be drafted higher than Noa Essengue, because Noa Essengue is very much a project, and he's not a true big. He's not a true big. He plays like a 3. He could be a 2 for all I care. And in some ways, I'm looking for a 4 or 5. And Newell fits the bill way better, because with Newell, you're going to get a post presence on offense. Also, he's got some rim protection and some defensive savvy with timing and second jumps on stopping people defensively. And Asa Newell also hits the 3. So there's a lot to like about Newell right there. Randolph saying, Lex, my question is about which superstar will choose to come to Toronto in free agency, not in trade. I think the tides are turning. And like you said yesterday, Kyrie might want to. I think KD might too. Yeah, we don't want KD, though. We don't want KD. Like I said, at this point, Kevin Durant gets in the way of a championship. He's not going to win another one. And he's fool's gold. If you bring him to your team, you're going to think you're going to get closer, but he's actually going to take you further away. So I'm just saying, I feel the vibes. And, you know, I could say Bradley Beal will never win a championship because I could just tell because the way the player is. Well, I could say the same damn thing about Kevin at this point. And maybe he's tainted because he's been around Bradley Beal to an extent. I don't know. But either way, since Kevin's left Golden State, he's a losing player, and he does not add up to winning. And that evidence is shown in how many times since he's been on Golden State and won a championship there, he's missed the playoffs. Honestly, if he's such a high-level player, top player in the NBA, he should be good enough to carry his team to the playoffs by himself. And he's not been able to do that. His team is usually not in the playoffs for the last 5 years. So he doesn't add up to winning. He's a non-starter for me, non-starter for the Raptors, because I don't want him even on the team. That's right. Cool Cat saying Team World have a lot of NBA players now that make the All-Stars interesting, and have the global community watching the games. All-Star Weekend needs to be improved for sure. Yeah, and this will help. I think that this will hopefully draw competition into the blood of the All-Stars to play for pride of USA for the U.S. side. And, you know, the world will have something to prove too. And I think that our team for the world is going to be so much fun to see. I mean, it's just a badass team. I mean, Victor will be on that team too. So, yeah, it'll be very interesting to watch. I'm glad they made this decision. In some ways, it makes it real easy to see who the teams are before even they get voted. The top players in the league that are world, well, we already know who's on that team. And the top players on USA, same thing. And I'm telling you, man, if you're going to give me the top five American players in the NBA versus the top 5 world players in the NBA, you're going to see a way better 5 on the world team than the top 5 for the US. Because the top 5 of the US are going to be putting people like Donovan Mitchell on there. No. You got Luka, Giannis, Nikola, SGA, Victor. Yeah. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. I hope the world kicks their ass. Honestly, in some ways, the U.S. needs a little humbling right now in all kinds of areas. Seriously. Seymour saying the arrogance of them taking on the world is and everything is crazy, sad, ludicrous. It's ludicrous. I mean, it's part of the whole dumbass, and I was around it as a kid growing up in the States. American exceptionalism. Our shit don't stink. We're just number one no matter what. Well, they've lacked being number one in a lot of things for a while, and they're going to get worse with the cuts to education and research and all kinds of stuff. And they're really falling in the power rankings of world leader right now. In fact, Canada is rising up and taken some of the stuff from them. China's taken some of it from them. And in some ways, the US, if there is a power rankings of world influence and power, they're losing under Trump. They're losing influence. They're becoming more of a joke. And the cuts to research funding for universities and science in general that they've just done recently is going to be absolutely devastating for repercussions for decades to come. And the U.S. will plummet and fall behind China and India in innovation. And the U.S. is truly dying as a superpower right now, right in front of our eyes. And it's basically Putin's puppet, Trump, killing it from the inside. And this is exactly what Vladimir wanted. He got exactly what he wanted. The U.S. people are so stupid. They got his Manchurian candidate in the office, and he's destroying it from the inside as we speak. And Vladimir's laughing because that's all he wanted. He wanted to weaken the United States, and he's been very successful. And the American people fell for it like idiots, like yokels. In some ways, I'll say this also. It's not that they fell for it. Once again, I believe that election was rigged also, that Elon Musk paid the broadcasters a tidy sum, which was a lot of money for an average person. But the fact that he's going to get all the money back in government contracts with Trump in charge and get all the lawsuits and investigations from government agencies that are coming at him for money, all thrown out the window. He made money off of paying the media to force Trump as president. I mean, it's a business investment to him. And honestly, democracy is dead, and you can buy whatever you want in the United States. You can buy your freedom. You can buy the presidency, as obvious evidenced as this last election cycle. I truly believe Kamala Harris got more votes on that day, and that they announced preemptively early in the evening on the mass media, on the main channels, because Elon paid them to do it early. Because why the hell would they declare the winner of the election before 11 p.m.? That never happens. That shit's supposed to go till 1 or 2 in the morning. And they did it way too early, and it's suspicious to me. So that's what I stand on. I still believe this. I do not believe that Donald Trump was actually elected last year. I don't think he's as popular as everybody thinks he is. They've made a mirage, and they're just trying to say that he is. That's bullshit. And they just strong arm things. It's just like his philosophy, grab him by the pussy. Well, he grabbed the election by the pussy, and they forced him in with Elon's financial backing, is what I'm saying right here. That's right. Let's go. Seymour saying, can't stand their ignorance. Arrogance. Yeah, I'm with you. Fiercely saying, will Embiid, Clown, Embiid, will Embiid be part of Team USA or Team World? My bad. I don't even think he'll be an all-star. Yeah, Mbozo, you mean? I don't know. Yeah, if he's hurt, he won't be playing, right? And that's probably likely. So he's probably going to be hurt, and he won't even be in the picture or be talked about. But that's an interesting question. I don't care which team he's on. He's a turncoat. He could be on whatever team he wants. If he wants to be on World, if he wants to be on USA, you know what? Maybe Embiid will just pick the team he thinks is going to win more. Seriously, he'll take the easy route. Oh, I'm going to go play for USA because they need me, and I played for them in the Olympics last year. Okay, you go ahead. You're from Cameroon, and yeah, all right, fine. It's fine. Whatever he's going to do. He's probably more likely to be hurt. That's what it is. Seymour saying nobody wants smoke with the whole world, and if you do, you're going to get your ass beat. That's exactly right. I'm totally with Seymour on this audacity of the United States thing. But you know what? We'll find out. We'll find out next year. Let's see. Cream saying LeBron James won't want any part of World versus USA. Why not? It's like the clock is ticking. He may not be in the league for very longer. In some ways, he's going to want to get out there and show for Team USA, put that pride on there. What? You think he's going to be lazy? And get out there? Maybe he'll fake an injury early in the game and he'll sit and watch the rest of it. That may happen. I could see that happening. Seymour saying good morning to Eye Candy. Cool Cat saying Giannis is not coming. We are nowhere ready for a chip. KD will be on the move. Phoenix Suns need help. Yeah. I think KD's leaving. I don't know if Giannis is actually leaving though. I really don't. I think that it's all bullshit. I think they're using Giannis as a pawn just as much as they're using our team name as a pawn. And then in some ways, this is all just part of the regular crazy confusion that certain people want to stir up in different ways just to see what can happen. We've noticed Stargate has looked around in the NBA, and different fan nations are acting in a very similar way to the Raptors right now. In some ways, this is the test, the stress test for franchises, their fan nations, and how loyal they are with their teams. Because, Boston fans are talking about trading big names on their team for people like Giannis right now. And people are viewing it and seeing it. Jaylen Brown may be seeing his names getting put out there way more. And he's like, man, I won the championship here with these guys. I'm the MVP in the finals. And I do all this for them, and Boston's fans so easily ready to sell me out like this. That's what I'm saying. In some ways, this is by design to stress test a lot of the Eastern Conference teams for just how loyal and what could happen. The Raptors have a really good chemistry and a good camaraderie of friendship on their team roster right now. And in some ways, this is getting tested in some ways. Hopefully the team's insulated from this and they aren't actually feeling any of this in a real way, or they don't care, or they're not looking at any of this noise, especially Scotty, because this shit is stupid, man. Honestly, we have a path that we're already laid out on with Scotty around it. And in some ways, if you change, they're not the same player, and it wouldn't be the same way. The one guy I watched yesterday that fiercely posted in the Discord server that's explaining how the Raptors could get Giannis and what the deal would be. I don't like what he's saying at all. And I'd say that guy's full of shit, Fiercey. And the other thing that he said that makes me know that he's probably full of shit is because he hardlined the whole thing about saying, he said two things that pissed me off and made me realize this guy is not a person to listen to. He said the Raptors were supposed to take Jalen Suggs, but they didn't. That is a sign that right there, he's part of that establishment that is trying to gaslight us and tell us what to do when they know it's not the right thing, and we go ahead and do what we want to. So he's already exposed himself as one of those. And then he's also made very big jabs. Some people have made very big jabs at the Raptors for saying they're not a very good team or they've been a failure for a long time. Once again, we had to play an 82-game season in Tampa that was basically a 82-game road season. And we've had to weather a lot of crazy shit as being the only Canadian team in a pandemic. So y'all can go ahead and revisionist history and say we've been a failure since our championship, but we've had to deal with uncommon, unforeseen world events that are huge and crazy, and any team would have a hard time going through them. And I think that we've done a very good job going through them, considering it all. So that's what I would say to that right there. But yeah, I didn't like that clip you posted, Fiercey, with that guy. He's so full of shit. He makes a very sound case, but he's full of shit is what I'm saying right now. That's right. Let's see. Cool Cat saying Oklahoma City Thunder and Indiana Pacers have shown the league team chemistry is the way to go, and keeping your players together as much as possible. I like what Kevin Garnett is saying, that the big three is over, it's dead, and it's about a deep roster of 10 that if you want to win. And he's pointing to the teams that are left, and this is exactly right. And this is something I've been saying for a couple of years already. People are catching up finally, that big three teams are dead. Superstar teams are dead. Stop trying to build them, because they're not the way to do it. You need a full rotation. You need a good team concept, and you need the pieces to act as a team and play as a team. You can't coast on three people's talent and just win championships anymore like the Heat did back with LeBron and Dwayne and Chris Bosh. No, it's a different league at this point, and team concept and fitting a team together under the salary cap in a very perfect puzzle piece is way more important than collecting three superstars and trying to go for it that way. Lakers, you're going to find out. With your Luka move, you're gonna find out. That's right. Seymour saying the Detroit Pistons want Devin Booker. That might be a good fit, actually, in some ways. It depends on what's going the other way and what's left in Detroit. Kareem saying, I'm speaking for myself, but win or lose, Pascal motherfucking Siakam is my favorite Toronto Raptor of all time. I love his story and I love the grind. He's collecting accolades in the most organic way. Yeah, his way of going about it is, I'm not worried about the noise. I'm not worried about getting the accolades. Not worried about people giving me my just desserts. I'm not worried about getting my flowers. These people, they're going to get me my flowers eventually. They can overlook me. They can not pay attention or give me exactly what I should deserve, but I don't care, because I'm not doing it for that anyway. I'm doing it for myself, to strive to be great and to be the greatest I can possibly be. And you know what? You do it a certain way and you're great, you're going to get it anyway. And that's what's happening with Siakam. Is they're all going to wake up to who he is and see, well, this is the commonality between Toronto and Indiana now is Siakam. And the praise and the stuff's coming now in the right way for him. But it should have been coming for him already. And he's been overlooked, but he didn't care. That's never stopped him or made him upset. In some ways, that's not why he's doing it. And I love him for it. I'm with you on this. He's one of my top 4 Raptors of all time. I think he's the most accomplished Raptor almost at this point. Seriously. I think he's the guy who has the most prestigious kind of stuff around his resume out of all the Raptors in their history. Kawhi Leonard, sure. Maybe one year of what he did, sure. That's pretty prestigious. But his prestige is better than Vince Carter's in a lot of ways as far as accolades. Seriously, I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. That's right. Stargate saying, yes, Lex, they're failing big time. Jedi mind tricks only work on the weak-minded. Yeah, the casual-minded, the immature-minded, the I have ADHD. I'm going to get distracted from the plan and what we're doing because I see a big shiny toy named Giannis in my face. That's part of it right there. Stay the course and understand we've already got an idea what we're trying to do, and we need to stick to it. You start switching up things mid-track, well, that train's going to derail. And we don't want that. We want to stay on the track that we're chugga on. And in some ways, you want to make that switch on the train track. Well, there's a likelihood that possibly we could go off the rails because of that, and not in the right way, not in a good way at all. That's right. Stargate saying Embiid will not play for neither. He's done. I'm kind of predicting that also. Yeah. Fiercely saying hi to Seymour. Stargate saying if these guys had the chance, they would have Cooper Flagg as the number one player in the league. Yeah, I'm not even sure who you're talking about. Let's see. Keep going in the chat. Where? Okay. Fiercely saying the amount of years Kyle and DeMar spent here before we finally had success, it was telling. Loyalty and patience matters. Giannis already got a chip, yet acts like he never did. He needs to chill. I don't see him acting like he never did. I mean, he's actually said that. He said that about Halliburton gloating. He's saying, well, I don't know why these guys are acting so cocky. I've won it. They've never won it. He said that. And he's right. He's exactly right. It's true. The build up to the Raptors championship is not just like all of a sudden Kawhi shows up and we win a championship. It's not that instant noodles, guys. It was really a journey we started when Masai showed up in 2012, 2013. And we went over a 7-year period to get to the first NBA championship for the Raptors. So in some ways, if you're going to do it right, you got to do it right like the Nuggets, like the Raptors did. And that's what we're trying to do again. And we need to do it right, guys. We can't skip steps. Yeah. Stargate saying, I want KD to go to the Knicks, the destroyer of worlds. That's a great spot for him. I'd love KD to be on the Knicks too. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Kevin Durant on the New York Knicks. Maybe some people say, what are you talking about, Lex? That we don't want that. I'm like, yeah, we do. Trust me. He's already played in New York. We saw how that worked out. We saw how that worked out already. That's right. Seymour saying Bobby Porter's drug test ruined the Bucks team chemistry in season. That's an interesting scapegoat, Seymour Pape. Bobby Porter's drug test ruined the Bucks season. I don't know what ruined the Bucks season. I think that they don't have good management. They really don't. Why the hell would they get Kyle Kuzma in the middle of the season? They got what they got in the playoffs. Kyle Kuzma running cardio, getting 0 in a game in the playoffs. I was like, dude, what are you doing with your life, bro? Like, what are you here? And that funny clip of Kyle Kuzma saying he's going to beat up Giannis if he leaves Milwaukee. What is that? He's like doing MMA. He's like, if Giannis leaves, I'm coming for you. I'm like, Kuzma, you're such a goof, man. Seriously, what a goof. Seymour saying Patrick Ewing, Jamaican roots swallowed up by Knicks Nation. You can put Oakley in the same conversation. Yeah, very much a Jamaican man, Patrick Ewing. Yeah, why didn't he play for Jamaica back in the day? He played for USA, didn't he? Yeah, he did. He was born in Jamaica, though. Seriously, I'm pretty sure he was born in Jamaica. That's right. Stargate saying Patrick Ewing and Roy Hibbert are of Jamaican background as well. That's right. Roy Hibbert. He was a Raptors draft pick, wasn't he? No, he wasn't. Didn't we trade him for Jonathan? No, that was Jonathan Bender we traded, something like that. I don't know. Wayne saying, I deal with the CRA, and it depends on the caseworker of your particular file. Just keep them busy with motions and representation. Pacers had issues flying into Oklahoma City, thunderstorms. OKC wins game 1. All right, good to see Sergeant Wayne Strainer. Yeah, I heard there was a tornado warning, and the Pacers got delayed in the air and on arrival to Oklahoma City. But they're there, and they're fine now. We've seen them in press conferences in the last day or so. And, yeah, interesting stuff. So you deal with the CRA, and it depends on the caseworker of your particular file. Just keep them busy and with motions and representation. All right. I'm sure Norman's got that going, and hopefully all the outcomes will come out all right for it. It's just a bad look. And no wonder some of these guys are saying this. I don't think they should be saying customs. Well, they do say the taxes. These guys are making it look bad right now, CRA. Come on, man. Come on. At least they're going after hockey and baseball people too, obviously. But, man, it's just not a good look, man. Seriously. Mischief saying, who's in a harder conference, Asa Newell or Rasheer Fleming, or same level of competitiveness? I forget. Who does Fleming play for? I'm going to say this right now. The SEC is a preeminent top conference in the United States. The ACC and the SEC are two of the best. You got Duke, you got North Carolina in ACC. In SEC, you got Florida, Kentucky, Arkansas. You got all kinds of historical juggernauts in basketball in the SEC where Georgia plays. And Georgia is not one of the better teams. And the whole fact that Asa Newell was the only good player on Georgia and carried them this year. Their record was not that good. And he really, he was a freshman. He came in as a guy with not a lot of experience, and he led that team in all kinds of ways this year. He was absolutely the best player for the Bulldogs. And without him, they are totally getting skunked by teams like the Kentucky Wildcats and the Florida Gators. So, and a lot of the highlights I watched the Newell, he's playing against guys like the Gators, the national champions of the NCAA. I don't remember who Fleming plays for, but I'm sure he plays in a high-level kind of conference also. I did initial shallow looks at Rasheer Fleming, but I think I will do a Thursday think tank on him in the next 2 weeks before the draft. I will make him the picture, and I'll go even deeper on looking at Fleming. But once again, Fleming is more of an athlete and not really a big. He's kind of a big guy. He's got some size to him, but he's not really a big. He's more of a high flyer and a very good athlete. And he's intriguing to me. He's on my 10 list. Wayne saying, I want to see Scotty play for the USA. After the current crew goes, he should be at least in the squad. We'd like to see that, but we know that Team USA in some ways snubs people. And unfortunately, a lot of the signs are showing that they want to snub Scotty. He needs to force them to pick him. And that is what he does on the court. And next season, Scotty, you come out there and you force them to put you on Team USA because you're just that damn good. In some ways, like Siakam, he's not waiting for the accolades. He's going to go do what he does, and they will come to him down the road. And that's what Scotty's got to do the same thing. He's got to do the same thing. Stargate saying, yep, Jaylen Brown and Drew Holiday's names are being put out there for trades. There's a lot of upheaval. The Cavs are getting all kinds of trade rumors around their guys too, and they were very successful this year. There's a lot of trade rumors all over the place. This is not just for us, this Giannis thing. In some ways, they're using Giannis as a pawn on everybody to kind of stress test different things right now. Yeah, Wayne saying, totally with you, Seymour. This perceived USA versus the world is ridiculous. Guaranteed loss for USA, and then the racists will say, you see all those black players are substandard, don't need it. Interesting. I see it differently in some ways, and that may be my perspective, and I have to be honest about that. To me, they've done versus the world in other places. Didn't we do Canada versus the world in hockey for a little while up here? Or was it USA versus the world in the NHL also? For some reason, I remember it, or it was North America versus the world. They did USA and Canada versus the rest of the world in Hockey All-Star for a little while. That's interesting to me. I mean, it is true. The stranglehold of excellence in basketball in the NBA has been America. And that's been dominant in Olympic and international play for a long, long time. But it is true that internationally, the rest of the world is catching up. And this is what this is going to test. So in some ways, the braggadocio and the being the top dog USA is fair and earned because of outcomes at Olympics and USA's dominance in international basketball for many years. But this is where we turned the tide, and symbolically in something like the All-Star game. Now, if they want to keep the status quo and Adam Silver wants to help Team USA and FIBA basketball with perception, he may manipulate things to help USA beat the world somehow, some way. But if they have a pure competition, I would like to see the world beat the USA. And then this signals something that a lot of people have been arguing is not true, is saying, oh, USA is still number one, no matter what. Well, what if the whole world is catching up and they actually beat you on the All-Star? That could cause a whole other kind of conversation. When Team USA's failed in Olympics and not gotten the gold, that's failure. When they don't get to the gold, they get anything less than it. This goal is failure. In some ways, if the All-Star game is a failure for Team USA, well, that makes more drama because, if you just make it dominant, like, oh, USA's going to win, USA wins. But if world beats USA at the All-Star, that sets up a really good matchup for the next year. Well, can the USA get back at Team World and beat them next year? Because they lost their spot on the top. And in some ways, that is actually really good for international basketball and the USA and FIBA and the NBA because it makes it more equal. The dominance of the United States is real, but it's maybe changing now. And we want to see the changing of the guard. So it's a more equal fight. It's more competitive and it's more fun to watch, just like these NBA finals. They're about to start tonight. That's right. There you go. There you go. Now, I don't know about the stuff that you're saying about with racists and viewing things with black people and stuff like that. I don't know if that needs to be interjected into this conversation for this, but if there is some sort of level of this, what you're talking about, we'll definitely talk about it fairly and bring it out. But I think that this may not be exactly right. I may not be totally getting your point too, Wayne, to understand what you're trying to say, though. Also, I have to be fair. Smooth saying it's being reported that some undisclosed Knicks players don't like Jalen's dad being part of the coaching staff. Yes. I'm telling you, man, in some ways, having a happy family on your roster and your franchise is important. The Raptors have that. Everybody's cool. Darko, Masai, the players. But in New York, not only did they throw their coach under the bus and get him fired, yes, in the last couple of days, Tom Thibodeau, they're throwing Jalen Brunson, the franchise player's dad, under the bus and saying they don't like him being around. And in some ways, it is kind of like a weird situation that a player plays on a team and his dad is one of the coaches while he's, I mean, if you're a kid, that makes sense. My brother's going to coach my nephew's baseball team because it's like kids. But in some ways at the pro level, the dad coaching the son, it's kind of there's kind of conflicts of interest in there. Like, how much does Rick Brunson talk to the other coaches about like his son and playing time and how many shots he gets and all this kind of stuff? And in some ways that having an advocate like him and the inside like that, in some ways that's a conflict of interest. And I could see where other players on the Knicks are not too keen. Plus, we know the reputation of Rick Brunson's a hard-nosed, tough-ass, crazy, psycho, make you work hard kind of guy. And, there may be some players on the team that don't necessarily like him that much. I mean, there was that whole yelling thing between him and Josh Hart, right? Wasn't there like some sort of beef between a Knick player and Rick Brunson publicly in the middle of a game in the last year or so? So, I mean, it's interesting. There's a new coach coming in. Will they fire Rick Brunson? Will that upset Jalen Brunson? Would the new coach want to bring in his own staff and not have anything to do with Rick Brunson? I don't know. This is interesting. This is a very juicy piece of information, Smooth. And I'm just saying the Knicks can be a good team and get real far in the playoffs. But if they are not totally right behind the scenes, well, we'll just say that. Fiercely saying, oh, yeah, the guys from yesterday's clip even mentioned we should give away Jakob. I wrote, we need a big, so that's not an option. Proof he doesn't even know our roster. Now, the one thing I would say is, Giannis has played with Brook Lopez his whole entire career, which is the three-point shooting big. And in some ways, if the deal realistically was going to happen, it's likely that Jakob would not be able to play next to Antetokounmpo. And in some ways, it's all stupid. I don't even want to talk about Scotty and Jakob getting traded for Giannis. It's such a dumb idea, honestly. And we won't do it. Full of shit. Yeah. The guy's slick. He's got advertisements. He's got a very slick procedure and a very elaborate way of explaining things. So it doesn't mean he's right. Cool Cat saying, I kept saying since years ago that Siakam will be a Hall of Famer from G League success to NBA success. Can't be overlooked. Keep grinding, Spicy Pete. His accolades will come to him no matter what because he's doing it the right way, and we're proud of him. Yeah, I wouldn't have said that he was a Hall of Famer when he was in the G League. That's crazy. You saying that already then? Wow, you must have really believed in him because I wouldn't have said that at that time about Siakam, that he's a Hall of Famer. I'll say it now. That man should be in the Hall of Fame, even though Basketball Reference says he only has a 2.1% chance. Well, let's see after this playoff what they up him up to at this point. Yeah. Seymour saying, who said that? Scotty declined Team USA offer. I'm dead. He did not do that. If they gave him an offer, he took it. I'm telling you right now, he took it. Seymour saying, yo, the Aboriginal people going crazy out here saying you want Alberta to separate. You don't have the right because it's treaty land, Cowboys versus Indians all over again. Hey, I'm just a city slicker. Well, it's crazy because in some ways there's a very small minority trying to act like they're trying to do what everybody wants in Alberta, but it isn't. There's a very, very small minority. I'm glad that Mo of Saskatchewan is not even entertaining separation talk in his province. And in fact, there's a lot more Albertans and Saskatchewans that are more patriotic for Canada than ever. And they hate the separation talk that Danielle Smith is utilizing for her own gains and political posturing. And there's a lot of people out there that have no interest in separating from Canada. It's absolutely bullshit. And once again, they'll inflate support for stuff and make people try and think that there's a lot of support things when they're not. Really, there's a lot of bots, manufactured social media presences that are not real people. The right wingers are all declaring, yeah, we're teaching our people how to make up fake people to try and sway public opinion by making it seem like it's the majority when it's not. Don't believe this shit. And, I like that Albertans are standing up against Danielle Smith and her bullshit, and especially the indigenous people. Once again, this was their land way before any of ours, and we need to respect that. We need to respect those treaties. I'm saying it right now. That's right. That's right. Cool Cat saying, yes, Lex, Siakam is the most awarded Raptor in history so far. G League champ, finals MVP for G League, most improved player, two-time All-Star. Actually, he's three-time All-Star, two-time All-NBA, champion as a Raptor, and Pacers All-Star. Yeah, you added the All-Star there later. Eastern Conference champion, Eastern Conference MVP, Hall of Famer pathway. Yeah, I believe he'll be a Hall of Famer by the end. That's right. That's right. And Seymour's giving a red card to Cool Cat. I think. I don't know. Stargate saying Rasheer Fleming is an interesting player as well. Yeah, we'll go deeper dive on him maybe next week. Maybe next Thursday we'll do something on him next week. Pacers flew out all their employees to game 1 and 2 of the finals. Incredible. That's interesting. Seymour saying, babe, the best team win. I'm okay with whoever claims Larry O'Brien. Yeah, I'm with that. So Rasheer plays for St. Joe's. Is that St. John's? St. Joseph's? I don't even know. St. Joe's? St. John's? Kareem saying, it was a tournament between the best 4 countries in hockey. It was a smash hit. Once the world smacks USA in basketball, Silver will do a quick pivot and make it mini Olympics and spread the world talent. Now, that's different. The whole 4-team tournament they did recently with Finland, Sweden, Canada, and US, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the NHL All-Star Weekend in the past has done North America versus the world, just like the USA's, just like the NBA is going to do this year. That the NHL took their All-Star game and they put a team of all the world players versus all the players from US and Canada. And they've done that format in hockey. I know that. And I don't know if they still do it. I don't pay attention to the NHL at all. So I don't know. Smooth saying, I think the Spurs are the team most closely aligned with absorbing KD and sacrificing their culture for him. The offer of Harrison Barnes and the 14th pick is great for 1 year of KD without sacrificing. A lot of Spurs Nation understand what I've said about Kevin, and they don't want him. There's a huge contingency of them that would much rather try and land Giannis, and they're not interested in Kevin Durant. They're not interested in Kevin Durant. I have a pulse on Spurs Nation because I'm in a lot of their fan groups, and they're all about the Giannis stuff. They can try and get Antetokounmpo and pair him with Wembanyama. They'll do it. But I think that the support for Kevin Durant in San Antonio is not as good. There's a lot of people that are saying the same thing I would say, that he's going to get in the way of a championship. He's fool's gold at this point. He's fool's gold. Yeah. Let's see. Wayne saying, America just can't do things for the purity of the activity. Always race shows up. The good thing, okay, he's probably elaborating on what he was saying earlier so that I can understand it a little better. Hang on, it jumped ahead. Oh, wait, I went too far ahead. Let me get back. America just can't do things for the purity of the activity. Always race shows up. The good thing is that they're not fans, so we can ignore them. Okay, I'm not totally sure what you're saying still. Stargate saying, facts, Wayne, 100% agree with you. I don't know why it's going over my head right now. I don't know why. Kareem saying, Masai's name is still being touted by Siakam during this chip presser. Masai has his thumb on a whole continent. Can you imagine if Africa changed their first love from soccer to basketball? Masai is him. Well, it's changing to a degree. I mean, I don't know if it'll ever overtake it, but basketball is an avenue that a lot more people in that continent are starting to turn to and look at, especially with the notoriety of somebody like Siakam, people like Embiid. And, they're seeing more and more guys coming over. And what's happening? Yeah, there's more African dreams of the NBA than ever right now. Absolutely. Yeah, Masai said he wants to win another chip here, and I believe him. I believe him too. St. Joseph's in Philadelphia. Okay, arch rival of Villanova. Yeah, that's like Big East or something like that. Yeah, I don't know. I'm still going to say the SEC, man, because in some ways, look, you got to understand Kentucky, Florida, these are huge basketball schools, like in college basketball, and they have histories of national titles like crazy. So I don't know. I don't know the St. Joseph's and who they play well enough to say what level tier, who's in the tougher conference. I feel like the SEC is really tough. It's tough in football and it's tough in basketball. ACC is really tough in basketball too, but the ACC is not as tough in football as the SEC is, with Auburn, Alabama, Florida, Georgia. Yeah, there's some really good teams in the Southeastern Conference of universities. Really good teams. All right, let me go see what's going on with my tabs, and we'll get closer to being done. Today, Straight Goods on Canadian Goods. We're talking about tahinis, guys. Tahinis is a Mediterranean fusion. We're talking so much about Greek with the Greek Freak. Why don't we do a Greek restaurant here in Canada called Tahinis? There's locations all over the place, man. They've got locations all over the place at this point. They started out in London, and they wanted to have more Middle Eastern restaurants with the good Middle Eastern food, with the shawarma, and also the that Mediterranean taste. Tahinis is all over the place. You probably got one where you're at. There's one in Calgary. I know that. There's one in Kingston. They got them over in Owen Sound, Mississauga, Aurora, Barrie, Bradford, Brampton, Kelowna. They're everywhere. They're all over the place. Etobicoke, Fort Erie, Guelph, Kitchener, Keswick. They got one in Keswick. I should go to Keswick one. That's not too bad for me. Go to there. Let's see. A lot of them in London. So yeah, go to Tahini's. It's a Canadian company and Mediterranean food. And yeah, we talking about Mediterranean Giannis. Might as well talk about Tahini's. Straight Goods on Canadian Goods. There you go. There you go. Raptors Reddit. What are you doing? You're out of pocket. They got the story about Norman getting coming after him. CRA. There's a Jacoby Walter had a highlight reel made by this guy Saman. And yeah, he's looking tough, man, with the shorter hair. I'm telling you, man, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun to see what Jacoby becomes more and more. Let's see. What else is there? There's apparently some updates with the Rogers ownership of our team. Rogers has received all league approvals from the NBA, the NHL, the MLS, and CFL to take 75% ownership of MLSE and the Raptors, Leafs, TFC, and Argos, etc. The last step for the deal to be closed is the approval from the CRTC on indirect ownership of NBA Canada. So Grange is reporting this about, this ownership switch is not overnight. And in some ways, the couple more shoes may drop and things may change after that when it's outright very much a done official deal that Ed Rogers is owning all these teams all at once. But all the major leagues have approved him being the owner of the MLSE like this. And there's just one more they have to do with the Canadian, the CRTC to figure out that stuff. So we'll have to see. This is going to be a little bit of a period of time where we may be a little scared and a little suspicious about what's happening with the new ownership of the Raptors. Hopefully it'll be all done very responsibly and be in good place, and we'll be all right, and Masai's job will be fine. That's what I'm hoping for right there. Let's see. Happy birthday to a trio of Raptors, former Raptors. First, Austin Day. Happy birthday to you. Very early Raptor. He's turning 37 today. Happy 37th birthday to Austin Day. Happy birthday to Armani Brooks. He's turning 27 today. Former Raptor Armani Brooks. And also happy birthday to former Raptor draft pick out of North Carolina, Ed Davis. It's Ed Davis's birthday today also. And he is 36. So we got 36-year-old Ed Davis, Armani Brooks, and Austin Day. 3 Raptor birthdays today on our day today. Yeah, let's go. Let's go. All right, let me see. We got to do the classic card. That's right. That's what's next. Let's see what's up here. All right, let's see who's in the chat. Cool Cat saying football would always be African continent's first love. It's the most popular sport in the world. Basketball can rise eventually as second in time. Well, it's definitely growing. And like I said, the more exposed young people in Africa are to basketball, men and women, the better, because the opportunities will come. And I'm all about it. I want to see the growth happen more and more. Yeah. Stargate saying Asa plays for Georgia Bulldogs. That's right. Georgia Bulldogs are an SEC team in the Southeastern Conference, and they have to play the Florida Gators, the Alabama Crimson Tide, the Auburn Tigers, the Kentucky Wildcats. These are all the teams in their conference. So it's like they play some tough teams. Mo's saying, good morning, Raptor Freak crew. Good morning to you, Superfan Mo. And Wayne saying, sorry, Lex, but don't want to emphasize too much. But just think of the WNBA and the perceived rivalry between Clark and Reese. It should be just about basketball, but the races come in and inject race. Okay, and now I see what you're saying. So you're saying it's not like the race card's getting played, but, some people are starting to show their racist sides. I don't know. I don't want to speculate or predict anything happening with what you're saying about Team USA versus the world and the All-Star from this perspective until it happens. If it happens, call it out and tell me, and I'll be like, okay, now I see what Wayne's talking about. That if this happens this way with Team USA versus Team World at the NBA All-Star weekend, that there may be some rhetoric that's coming out of the woodworks all of a sudden. That's what you're warning me about. I get what you're saying now. I do. Seymour saying the Georgetown program has sure fallen off from true talent. Yeah, that's been a while. All right, here's your classic card, guys. This one's pretty easy, if you ask me. This is one of my favorite players in the NBA's history at a certain point in time. This guy was like my favorite player for a little while. This was before the Raptors even existed. This guy was one of my favorite players. So if you can get him, go ahead and put in the full name answer for the classic card. Nick Anderson's right, Smooth. That's right. That's Nick Anderson, the first ever draft pick for the Orlando Magic in franchise history. He is Damon Stoudemire in their world. He was the first guy ever drafted for the Magic in their first year as a team. And of course, we know Nick from missing the free throws against the Rockets and screwing that game up in the finals. For Orlando, he took the brunt of it. And then, of course, there was all the tough stuff with him and Michael. When Michael Jordan was wearing the other number than 23, when he came back from retirement, he was wearing like a 98 or something like that. I forget what he's wearing. And Nick Anderson said something stupid in the press conference. He said, well, this number is not 23. And Michael got really mad. And he changed his number back. And he came back and scorched Nick Anderson. Bad. People forget about Nick. But he was really good player. And like, honestly, it's kind of sad how he's overlooked at this point. Nobody remembers Nick Anderson at this point. And it's crazy because he was a lot of fun to watch. He's very talented. A lot of fun. I'm going to give Smooth 100 points for the classic card today. He was a fairly well-known player. But yeah, I feel bad for Nick Anderson. In some ways, he's tied with failure. In some ways, in his legacy. And it's not totally fair, honestly. He was a very, very good player. He was a lot of fun to watch. Let's just say he was a lot of fun to watch as a player. Smooth, you're going to get that 100 points for Nick Anderson on the classic card today. Original Orlando Magic draft pick. Or yeah, there you go. Let's see. Seymour saying, yeah, it's crazy. 5-star programs. The SEC's tough. Stargate saying, those were my favorite teams back in the day. Big East, baby. There you go. And Mo's saying Scotty might play for Jamaica. Nothing's for sure. I think it's unlikely, honestly, Monique. I really do. Because as we were saying earlier before you showed up, Scotty doesn't want to mess up his chances to play for USA. And if he declares and starts playing for Jamaica, that may block him from playing for USA. So I think Scotty's going to decline it. In some ways, he's not like the other guys. He has much more of a chance to play for Team USA. Maybe one of the Thompson twins could have. But they've thrown their hat in with Jamaica already. But yeah, that report is that Jamaica is reaching out to these guys. It doesn't mean that they want to do it. And maybe Beef Stew does it. Maybe Devin Vassell does it. But Scotty has a real chance to be on Team USA. And he may not want to screw that up. And he may say no to Jamaica. I think that might be it right there. Seymour saying, Hoosier fans, cause you're a Hoosier fan because of Bobby Knight. There you go. Indiana Hoosiers. All right. There you go. All right. Thanks to Infamous for calling me today on the Thursday Think Tank call-in show. Always a joy to talk to you, sir. And yeah, thanks for talking to me today about Noa Essengue, Raptor Freaks. I was like higher on him 2 weeks ago, but I went and looked at him again yesterday, and I'm realizing he's much more a project than he seems. He's really got a long way to go before he has an NBA body. He's 18 years old. And in some ways, he's not going to be a big ever in his career. He won't be a true big. He could maybe be a small ball center at some point, but I don't even see him being able to do that right away. In some ways, I made some comparisons to the Brazilian kid, Bruno, as far as with Noah. And I will always say that if ESPN is pushing somebody for us to draft on their mock drafts, I'm suspicious. And I would say we should never pick who ESPN recommends us to draft, guys. I think that should just be a rule of thumb going forward, that we can't trust them for why they're saying we should pick Jalen Suggs. So this is the same thing. If ESPN's going to mock draft Noa Essengue at number 9, I say we better not pick him, is what I'm saying. So as much as I was on the Noah train a couple weeks ago, I'm not anymore. I don't think he's the right pick for us. And I think that they do much better with that Georgia Bulldog we're talking about right now, Asa Newell, instead. And that's my personal opinion. Now, Mischief sees it differently. He thinks Essengue is the better guy because he has a bigger wingspan. Well, we all have opinions and we can look at it. But this is where I'm looking at it right now. I think that Essengue has a high percentage of possibly being a bust also. And certain players that play in a high level and collegiately in the United States are less likely to bust out because they're playing against high-level talent. And a lot of the clips I've seen Noah playing against, they look like he's playing against very bad talent that is not – anybody could look good playing against them. So that's why I caution people gauging Noa Essengue. I caution you, you're watching him play lower, lesser talent than the guys we're watching over here, like Common and those guys. And also, he's a project, and he's going to need a lot of work, and he shies away from contact, and I don't like that. We want a guy who's going to play physically. We don't want a light player that's not trying to do stuff in certain ways. You know what I'm saying? That's right. Mo's saying WStream W vibes. Thank you, Mo. And Stargate saying Calvert Chaney was a good player at Indiana back in the day. You know who was a good player at Indiana back in the day? Isaiah Zeke Thomas. That's who was a good player at Indiana back in the day. How about we start talking about Glenn Grunwald? He played at Indiana back in the day. Glenn Grunwald was actually a good player at college. He didn't play in the NBA, but Glenn Grunwald did play for the Hoosiers, along with Butch Carter. They were all there at the same time. And John Petove was there at school also. He was a Hoosier. So we got a big Hoosiers connection with the Raptors from the beginning, with our original owner, our original team president / GM, one of our early coaches, and then another GM that was a GM for us. All those guys were Hoosiers at the same time and knew each other way before they came to Toronto and were involved in the Raptors. That's right. Let's go. OG. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching. Watch the finals tonight, and we'll be back to react to them tomorrow, and we'll have Friday freak out. And I hope everybody just has a nice Thursday, and I'll see you guys later. I might be around the Discord at times today, so if you guys want to chat there, come see me. If you like the channel, please like and subscribe to the channel. And you can join the channel as a member. Also, you get access to the Discord server, the Facebook group, and other great stuff that are perks where you can keep abreast of all the latest Raptors news as it happens during the day. And you guys have been so fantastic with posting so much stuff in different places and keeping everybody informed on what's going on. And I appreciate it. I appreciate Mo. I appreciate Trevor and everybody who contributes to keeping the news up. And once again, on Saturday and 2 days from now, we're getting together at the NBA restaurant for Mo's birthday party at 5:30 at the NBA restaurant, Queens Quay, downtown Toronto, near the lake. I hope you can join us. It's going to be a fun time. I'll be there. Mo will be there. And the classic card box will be there too. Let's go Raptors. And let's stay pat and stay true to Scotty and keep moving forward with Scotty in mind as the center of the Raptors universe. That's the best choice. I'm telling you right now, don't fall for this thing that they're doing right now. Don't fall for the Jedi mind trick. Be better, Raptors fans. Understand how they're trying to manipulate us with this bullshit with Giannis right now. Seriously. It's the same thing, kind of stuff like Ohtani. Seriously, they didn't get y'all's hopes up and y'all be crushed. And somehow, some way, you're going to blame Masai Ujiri because it didn't happen and get mad at him for something that was never actually going to happen anyway. So, yeah, just stop. Just stop. Put it down. So who cares if Alex is in Vaughan working out right now? He's come to Canada and worked out here for the 905 and been around here in the past. Doesn't mean anything if Giannis's brother's here. Don't read into it. Y'all are crazy. You're reading into too much. Let's go Raptors.